We welcome you, everybody, to the NHL and MHS's pregame show. I'm Max. Delighted to have you with us here. As Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final is moments away from getting started, and it's going to be an interesting one for sure. A rematch of last year's Stanley Cup Final. This time, the home team, Edmonton Oilers, are going to host the first two games here. They didn't last year, and this should be an interesting one for sure. We're less than 16 minutes away from puck drop of the 2025 Stanley Cup Final. This is the first rematch in the final since the Detroit Red Wings and the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2008 and 2009. The Red Wings won first, and then the Penguins got their revenge. Does that happen here? Does the Panthers win, and then Oilers win this year, if we're using that logic? But you never know in the Stanley Cup Final. It's a best of 7. Hockey season's closing out, and Zach Hyman is out for the remainder of these playoffs. He got hit in Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals against Dallas, and he is out for the remainder of it. And unfortunate for him, he's such a good player. This is the 9th Stanley Cup Final appearance for the Edmonton Oilers. That is most by any non-original 6 franchises. And it's insane. This is the first Canadian team to host a Stanley Cup Final since the 2011 Vancouver Canucks. They lost that series in 7. McDavid is on fire in these playoffs. 26 points in these playoffs. He leads in these playoffs leaderboard with how much points he has. For the Panthers, they've been really good on the road. 8-2 on the road. They look to take one here in Edmonton, the split. That's their goal here. Trying to go back to Sunrise, Florida for games 3 and 4. They need a split here. They cannot go down 2-0. For the Oilers, you're trying to take advantage of home ice advantage like you did not have it last year. And they didn't. And they were down 3-0 and were able to come back from that and force a Game 7. Lost in Game 7 2-1. We will see if the Oilers can get a win here in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. They have not gotten a Game 1 victory in a Stanley Cup Final since, I believe, like 1990, 1988 potentially. They didn't win Game 1 of the 2006 Final, neither the 2024 one from last year. And yeah, this is going to be interesting. If you're just in the chat, just join us. We welcome you in, and put in the chat who you think is going to win tonight's game and what score. We'll be back with the intros and the anthems coming up next. The Florida Panthers have won their first cup in franchise history.
It's over! It's over!
It's over.
The Florida Panthers are Stanley Cup champions.
Last year, it was the Panthers reigning victorious in a Game 7 against the Oilers to get their first ever Stanley Cup. For the Oilers, it was another loss in the final in the past 18 years. The memories of old still lingered for the Oilers' past triumphs. This year, the Panthers battled adversity and were able to make it to their third straight final with new additions Seth Jones and Brad Marchand. For the Oilers, they too battled adversity and triumphed and battled all the way back to the Stanley Cup final once again with their new additions and debt like Kapanen and more factoring in. The stage is set for the first rematch between two teams in a Stanley Cup final since the Detroit Red Wings and the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2008 and 2009. Is it finally the Oilers, who not only have not won a cup since 1990, they would also be the first team to win a cup for Canada for the first time since 1993. For the Panthers, they've come this far in their defense of the Stanley Cup. They would like to keep it that way and successfully defend it by winning it once again. The last two teams left in the Stanley Cup playoffs go one-on-one in a best-of-7. Welcome to the Stanley Cup Final.
The Florida Panthers have won their first cup. Listen and look at the sound of a Stanley Cup champion.
We welcome you to Rogers Place in Edmonton, Alberta. Game number 1 of the Stanley Cup Final, the rematch from last year. The Panthers trying to go back-to-back. The Oilers trying to win a cup since the first time since 1990. It'll take place here in game number 1 in Rogers Place, Edmonton, Alberta. We welcome you in, and we're delighted to have you with us here tonight. And the Stanley Cup Final is going to be a huge matchup here tonight between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers, as it's the rematch from last year. And this is going to be an interesting one for sure, as tensions are big in this one. And we'll see if the Oilers can get the revenge from last year and get a Stanley Cup win. The Panthers trying to keep the defense of the cup successful and win once again. The question is, can they do it? That is the question. Sergei Bobrovsky is going to start for the Panthers. Stuart Skinner, on the other side of things, has improved immensely from the last we saw of him before he got pulled in the Kings series. And then ever since, he has been a run. Defeated the Golden Knights in 5, defeated the Stars in 5 to go back to the Stanley Cup Final once again. We will see if he continues that run here in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. We will see for sure, as we will figure out in just moments as the anthems and the puck drop are about to commence here soon. McDavid, a big factor in this one for sure. He is the best player in the world, you could argue. Could be, inarguably, the best player in the world. As the Oilers trying to win their first Stanley Cup since 1990. That's when they had Messier and all those great legends back then. And we will go to commercial and we'll be back. We welcome you to the Stanley Cup Final, game number 1 between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. The anthems are about to be underway here tonight as the face-off is about to happen.
Welcome to Edmonton for Game 1 of the 2025 Stanley Cup Final, featuring the Florida Panthers and your Edmonton Oilers. Let's meet the teams competing for the Stanley Cup. First, the Florida Panthers. Head coach in his 27th season, Paul Maurice. At forward in his 12th season, number 16, Alexander Barkov. At forward in his 10th season, number 17, Evan Rodriguez. At forward in his 11th season, number 13, Sam Reinhart. On defense in his 12th season, number 3, Seth Jones. On defense in his 6th season, number 77, Nico Nicola. And in goal for the Panthers, playing in his 15th season, number 72, Sergei Bobrovsky. And now, the starting lineup for your Edmonton Oilers. Head coach in his 2nd season, Chris Knobloch. At forward in his 20th season, number 90, Corey Perry. At forward in his 14th season, number 93, Brian Nugent-Hopkins. On defense in his 14th season, number 14, Matthias Ekholm. At forward in his 10th season, number 97, Connor McDavid. On defense in his 6th season, number 2, Evan Bouchard. And starting a goal for the Oilers, playing in his 5th season, number 74, Stuart Skinner! And now, please join the singing voice of your Edmonton Oilers, Robert Clark, in the performance of the American and Canadian national anthems, signed tonight by Edmonton resident and deaf performer with PXP, Linda Cundy.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. with a rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command.
A great atmosphere in Edmonton. And we're going to have game one of the Stanley Cup Final here in Edmonton, Alberta. I'm Max, delighted to have you with us here tonight. We were supposed to have our game audio, but unfortunately we had some technical difficulties, and we will have to delay that. Sergei Bobrovsky, 12-5, 912 save percentage, 2.11 goals against allowed, 8-2 record in on the road though, and a 912 save percentage for Bobrovsky. On the other hand, Stuart Skinner, his first three starts, he was 0-3, and his save percentage was .817. His last 7 starts, he's 6-1, 1.41 goals against allowed, and a .944 save percentage, and 3 shutouts. Unbelievable stats from a guy that looked like he was not going to play well in these playoffs, and now he has taken his team back to the Stanley Cup Final for the second year in a row, and the puck is dropped here in game number 1. We're underway in game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Shot back in. Second Stanley Cup rematch in the past 40 years, 12th in NHL history, and moved up here nicely. Rodriguez tried to chip it in deep. Ekholm picks it up, got bumped there along the boards. Stuart Skinner lays it on the platter, passes it. Bouchard, turnover. Reinhart. Sam Reinhart getting hooked a little bit there, no penalty. He'll go back to the point. Shot by Mikkola, just missed the net wide. Rodriguez gets it again. Trying to leave it for Barkov, pressured by Bouchard. Ekholm steals it away. Florida looking to hold it in, up in the air. Barkov trying to get the puck there, and he could not. It deflected off a high sticking call, and 40 seconds in, we get a whistle. We will welcome you in if you're just joining us. Stanley Cup Final action. 40 seconds in. Rematch from last year. He missed, Reinhart had a great shift there to start the game. He missed games 3 and 4 of the Eastern Conference Final. Came back in game 5. Verhaeghe going to take this face-off against Kane. Verhaeghe with the series-winning goal in game 5 against the Hurricanes. Made it 4-3 with more than 8 minutes to go. Kapanen will chip it out of the zone as the Oilers won the face-off. Chipped back in by Ekblad, up in the air. Verhaeghe couldn't get it. Race for the puck here. Draisaitl will look to get it in front of the net. He's pressured along the boards. The rematch already looking good so far. Draisaitl send it back to the point. Woman's shot. Deflected rebound. Draisaitl scores! A minute and 6 into the Stanley Cup final. Leon Draisaitl makes it 1-0. A minute and 6 in, the deflection by Kapanen, and then the big rebound. Wallman shot from the point, went off the glove of Bobrovsky, and Draisaitl of an open net. No one covering him as Forsling had tripped up Kane in the process, and it's still a 1-0 lead. A minute and 6 in, and the Oilers looking a little bit different from last year. Nurse. Now a turnover. Marchand trying to center it up the side of the net. It's loose in the crease, and it's covered by Skinner. And get a whistle. The Oilers have scored the first goal in the last 9 games, including tonight. The shot from the point by Wallman, the rebound by Kapanen. Draisaitl just with an open net at the side of the net, puts it home. Leon Draisaitl has been a great factor in this Stanley Cup playoffs for the Edmonton Oilers. He has been great. Luostarinen along the boards. So the Panthers, defending champs, looking to answer here. A turnover instead. It's held at the line by Kulikov's shot, wide of the net. Shots are 3-1 early on in the hockey game. More than a minute and a half in. Kulikov passes it across. Shot, Lundell deflected wide of the net. Wraparound attempt. Loose in front, Lundell, and it's stopped. Stuart Skinner made the save, and we already have a lot of action going on, and not even 2 minutes in. A goal, and Florida has started to find some chances. But early on, the Oilers, with the early strike here in Game 1, gets the home crowd going. A minute and 3 seconds in. Leon Draisaitl with the goal, the top guys for the Oilers. Draisaitl and McDavid have not won a Stanley Cup. Is it the year? That's the question. Bouchard along the boards. Goes behind the net. Boquist goes back to the point. Held in. Intercepted there by Ekholm. Stretch pass and maybe a counterattack for the Oilers. Draisaitl leading the rush. Kapanen throws it behind the net. And Nosek will intercept. Shots are even at 3. 1-0 Oilers. More than 2 minutes in. A minute and change into the game. Draisaitl with the goal. Line changes for the Oilers. Bouchard. And just already in this final already is starting to get some action so far. Reminds me of the home games of the Oilers had in game 4 and 6 where they just scored like that. Another turnover here. Arvidsson. And then it's tried to be rimmed around the boards. Reinhart tried to move it up there for Rodriguez and couldn't connect on his stick. Arvidsson now chips it back in towards Bobrovsky, and a save there, and gets a whistle. 2:50 in. A lot of whistles and a goal already in the hockey game. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup final. We're welcoming you in. If you're just tuning in with us, Leon Draisaitl, the latest goal scorer. The only goal scorer in the game. And already the Oilers have found that magic that they've been having throughout this whole playoff year. The Panthers, though, looking to counter for sure. The defending champs do not want to give up the cup here. Goals by defensemen this postseason. Florida with 15. And Edmonton with 11. The others are Carolina and Toronto tied at 8. So they have gotten a lot of goal scoring from the defensemen. Stuart Skinner out to play it behind the net. Banks it off the boards. And held in at the line by Marchand along the boards. McDavid steals that away. Almost turned it over. Deflected to the center of the ice. And picked up there by Mikkola, who has to go back. He was struggling along the boards as the Panthers cleared out of the zone. Out to center ice. 6th career cup final for Corey Perry. His 5th in the last 6 years. He has not won a cup, though. He has lost those 5 cup final appearances with Dallas, Tampa Bay, Montreal, and more. That one trying to get a pass to Brown. And could not connect as it was defended there nicely by the Panthers. Chipped back in by Edmonton. Along the boards, Kulikov. Now Schmidt, that's going to be a whistle here. Is that an icing call, I believe? I think it is going to be an icing call. And we go back into the Edmonton zone. Welcome you in if you're just tuning with us right now. And there's an argument here on what that call should have been. And is it actually a penalty? I'm not sure. Knobloch is red, though. I think they're just saying that should have never been an icing. Wes McCauley and Francis Sharon, the officials. The referees and linesmen Scott Cherry and Trent Knorr working the game tonight. The faceoff's at center ice now. Barkov wins the faceoff. Schmid will deflect it back in for Rodriguez. That's knocked down. Kulak will flip it out to center ice. Kapanen trying to get it. Kulak again. Pass across for Nurse. Kapanen drops it off for Draisaitl, who's back on the ice. And it's forced out of the zone by the Panthers immediately from the blue line. And so far, there has not been much since that goal by Draisaitl. Forsling tries to move it up. Draisaitl will backhand it back in. Barkov along the boards. Comes free shot! Save made from the point. A one-timer. I believe from Kapanen. Forsling, Draisaitl trying to get it. A collision there. What a hit. Ekblad on Kane. And Ekblad wants to go back on Kane. And Forsling will move it up. That electrifies the crowd here in Edmonton. Shot back in and another hit there behind the play. Ekholm will move it up. It's getting physical so far as a turnover here. Janmark would have been offside if he touched it. Bouchard will shoot it back in. Wada Bobrovsky. And Lusterinen tried to move it up. Another huge hit along the boards. Edmonton playing physical here, matching that Florida-style game. A turnover here, and Arvidsson will get it behind the net. Along the boards, fought for, and Schmid looking to move it up. And it's flipped out to center ice by Lusterinen. Bouchard will get it now. Trying to pass across, it's intercepted there. Here is Bennett. Sam Bennett all alone, he shoots, save! McDavid was getting back on the back check. That's going to be an icing on Edmonton. But what a play by McDavid to get back on the back check, using his speed that no other player has. To prevent Sam Bennett getting a clean shot, it just all started with a bad turnover and a giveaway by Evan Bouchard. McDavid using that speed to get back on the back check there, and it worked very well there in his benefit. Stuart Skinner made the save on that shot by Bennett. Shots are 5-4 in favor of Edmonton so far in the game. Not even 6 minutes in. Bennett and McDavid. Bennett wins the faceoff. Mikkola shot wide of the net. We'll go back to the blue line. Shot from distance, knocked down into the corner. Ekholm looking to clear it. He will. Will it be another icing? Yes, it will. And another whistle. And so Edmonton cannot change, and Florida can. Some tired guys out there for Edmonton. Taking a breather right now before the whistle starts play again. Bennett just having some room, and he struggled to handle that puck at the last moment, I think. Off the faceoff, won by Bennett. Mikkola will rim it around. Ekholm will get it and will not clear it out of the zone. Kachuk had held it in. Verhaeghe, it took an awkward hop along the glass. Mikkola held it in, shot wide of the goal. Podkolzin will drop it off for Ekholm, who flips it out to center ice, and Mikkola will go back for the puck. So just more than 7 minutes in, or more than 6 minutes in, pardon me. Nothing much for the Panthers after that opening shift. Rodriguez tried to pass it. It was way out of the reach of one of the Panthers, cutting through the circle, and McDavid using his speed now, moving it through center ice. Got hip checked along the blue line. Forsling will flip it across for Reinhart. Rimmed it all the way around. Barkov looking to get it. And it's fought along the boards, and McDavid gets it again. Using his speed, Forsling trying to cut him off. Poke checked away there. Looked like a high stick. Perry all alone, and there's a penalty upcoming. Perry was trying to score there, and instead it's an Oilers penalty. And Edmonton will take a penalty. Corey Perry, I believe, going to the box. And so the Panthers will go to the power play. When we return, the Stanley Cup Final. Yeah, Perry, high stick foresling there. He was trying to move his stick out of the way to go on a break. We'll be back. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. We welcome you back to the Stanley Cup Final, game number 1 between the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. A penalty on Corey Perry for high sticking, and the Panthers will go to the power play on the road. They've been very good. They're 12 for 28 in these playoffs. At home, they're 1 for 28. It's completely opposite story on the road. 42.9% power play effectiveness on the road for the Panthers. Ekblad looking to get the puck between his skates. Reinhart will get it behind the net. Now Ekblad's shot just missed the net wide. Jones pressured. Going back to a point where no one was there. Tkachuk. Now Barkov will drop it off for Tkachuk. He gets leveled along the blue line. It's held in onside though. Ekblad will go back to the blue line. Tkachuk shot. And it's blocked out in front of the net. Jones. Now Reinhart. Back for Jones. Ekblad deflected into the corner. Tkachuk trying to get it. Bouchard will clear it off the glass and out of the zone. Only 2 shots for the Panthers. They changed that during the commercial. Around 4, and now they limited it to 1 when we came back, and then the Panthers did get a shot on goal on this power play. Only 2 shots for the Panthers, 5 for the Oilers. 1 minute and 5 left to go on this power play for the Panthers. Moved in onside. Reinhart pressured from behind. A great back check there. Cleared down the length of the ice. It was McDavid again, who has been very good so far to start this Stanley Cup Final. Lost it last year. Was a Conn Smythe winner last year as a loser. Bennett moving in. Sam Bennett. Pass couldn't go. Goes back to the blue line. Schmidt sends it across. Shot from distance. Blocked out in front and cleared down the length of the ice. Bobrovsky plays it. 30 seconds to go on the power play for Florida. Schmidt will move the puck up. That pass. Bennett sends it across from Marchand out of the reach. Bennett trying to get it back. He fell down. A shorthanded 2-on-1. McDavid trying to pass it for Kapanen. McDavid gets it again, and he shot it wide. It might have hit the goalpost. Schmidt gets it now. Bennett will look to move it through. That's intercepted by Draisaitl. This power play had nothing for the Panthers going. More momentum for the Oilers. They have dominated the first 9 minutes of this final. Draisaitl trying to get through the defense. And intercepted there by Lundell and Luostarinen. Dropped it off for no one there along the boards near the vacant penalty boxes. Shot by Mikkola back into the zone. It was blocked. He gets it again, and he'll look to re-enter now. Boquist along the boards. He shoots, and it's blocked loose in front. And it's picked up there by Kane, who looked to clear it. Could not. Bokus on the forecheck. Klingberg will get it now for Edmonton, and he'll clear it, taking a hit by Luostarinen. Shot back in by Florida. Gadjevich trying to get it on the forecheck. Klingberg gets hit again. Nurse not held in, and it comes back out to center ice. Jones sends it across for Kulikov, who slaps it back in. So far, the Panthers need some more offense and get some more shots through. That deflected to the corner. Kulikov along the boards. Rodriguez and Nosek tingling up with Klingberg. And that pass way out of the reach, and an icing on Edmonton. 10:01 to go in the first period of Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Was that McDavid who hit the post? Let's see. We're going to see a replay here. He hits the crossbar. He had a perfect shot. That top part of the net was wide open. And instead, he hits the crossbar. Face-off shot. Reinhart with a chance there and a save. Arvidsson deflected. It's loose in the blue line. Along the boards, Reinhart trying to get it. Boquist trying to get through. He gets leveled along the boards. Near the benches of the teams, he gets leveled between them. Brown deflected, no icing. Bobrovsky out to play it. Ekblad. Barkov dropped it off, and it's Verhaeghe trying to get to the defense. Got it stolen away there. Kulak and then a turnover. Kachuk now, it's Verhaeghe's shot that was fanned on. Kachuk will get it in the corner. Centering pass, shot, Verhaeghe scores! Carter Verhaeghe has tied it up for the Florida Panthers. And they're arguing it. If that should have been goalie interference on the Edmonton side of things. But for right now, the Panthers have tied the game. With 9:11 to go in the first, Verhaeghe's initial shot was fanned on. Bennett got pushed in. Oh, that should be a goal. We're going to see here. Bennett and Wallman were tied up. And he fell. Let's see if he got tripped up or anything there. It deflected off of Bennett. Wallman was holding his stick. The question is if they're going to review this for a goaltender interference call. We will see. 6-4, the shot's favoring, and we're going to have a review of this goal and see what the verdict will be. From what I'm seeing, they could argue that Bennett just fell down on his own. But then again, Wallman was tying up Bennett's stick. And that could have been, Kulak kind of tripped him up with his skate. We will see. Yeah, Kulak does trip him up with his skate. The question is, will that be enough to overturn the call? They called a goal on the ice. So they have to have enough evidence to try to set the call.
After reviewing the play, the actions of the Edmonton defenseman knocking 9 down. Therefore, the call on the ice is confirmed. We have a goal.
So it is a goal and the Panthers are going to go back to the power play because Edmonton used their coach's challenge. So the Panthers will go to the power play as the Oilers take a delay of game call. The fans in Edmonton do not like the call at all. But now the Panthers getting the tying goal. Edmonton using their coach's challenge. They will now be on the power play because Edmonton failed that coach's challenge. Kulak did trip him up with his skate. They said that was enough. And the Panthers have tied it up, and they're going to go back to the power play once again. They're 0 for 1 on the night. Kachuk, now momentum for the Panthers here if they can convert on this power play. A lot of momentum shifts in this first period. As it comes back out to center ice, and Ekblad will pick up the puck, and he'll pass it across for Jones. Seth Jones now with the puck. He'll drop it off for Barkov, the captain of this Florida squad. He'll rim it all the way around. Kachuk couldn't get it. Ekholm off the boards, try to clear it. Could not. Hold of a stick there, and they do not call that. The Oilers will move it up the other way, shorthanded. Janmark actually, was on the forecheck. 11th of the postseason for Sam Bennett. Carter Verhaeghe and Tkachuk with the assists. Reinhart couldn't get it. Here's McDavid shorthanded, going 1-on-2. Connor McDavid slows it up and waits, and he'll pass it back out to center ice, killing off a minute of this power play potentially. Nurse back in, onside, shot. Save made by Bobrovsky. He'll continue to play the puck, though. Schmid now, 8 minutes left to go in the first period. Shots are 7-4, favor of the Oilers. Bennett will get it now for the Panthers, and he'll shoot it back in. Rimmed all the way around, 40 seconds remaining. And it's cleared down the length of the ice once again. The penalty kill has been great for the Oilers here at home. Schmid has the puck, 30 seconds remaining in the Florida power play. Bennett held in at the line. He'll go back to the point for Schmid. Shot, pass across, scores! Backdoor feed for Marchand. 2-1 Florida. And the Panthers have the lead. With 7.5 minutes to go in the first period, Brad Marchand with the goal. On the backdoor feed, a great pass from Schmid from the blue line. A wide open for Oilers. And 2 Oilers were covering the net front guy, which was Verhaeghe. And they had one guy trying to cover the slot. He moved. It was actually Henrique. And so the Panthers have the lead. And Edmonton thinks there should have been a penalty. They call it a... Are they going to call this? McDavid and Mikkola tying up together. Will there be a penalty on the play here? I'm not sure. Draisaitl with the early goal, but now the Panthers with the lead. 7:20 to go. We welcome you back to the Stanley Cup Final, Game 1, 7:20 to go in the first period. This is the first period that's felt like an eternity, but we've had 3 goals. The Oilers with the early lead, 1 minute and 6 seconds in. But now the Panthers score on a tying goal that the Oilers thought it was a goalie interference. We're going to have an Edmonton power play here. Their power play's been very good. And another call potentially. It is going to be another call. 7:14 to go, and Corey Perry will go to the box once again for the second time in this period. A tripping call will go to 4-on-4. Reinhart got tripped up immediately. Perry, just careless actions with his stick so far in this first period. We'll play 4-on-4 for 1 minute and 54. And a 6-second Florida power play. Corey Perry has taken some bad penalties so far in the game. 4-on-4 we play. So the Oilers thought they'd get some momentum on the power play. Instead, they take a penalty, and we go 4-on-4. 7-5, the shots favoring the Oilers. And Ekholm has it behind the net. And another dump in front of the net. One of the Oilers went down. They thought that might have been a high stick delay. Penalty upcoming to Florida now. And we'll play a 4-on-3 power play with 6:56 to go, and Ekblad takes another dumb penalty. Apparently everyone wants to take dumb penalties right now at the moment. So we'll have an Edmonton power play. Will be a 4-on-3, I believe. Oh my, that was not a high stick. Drysdale literally got interfered with. Ekblad shaking his head. I don't know what he was doing. 4-on-3 power play for the Oilers. We're going to tie the game at 2. 6:56 remaining here in the first period. So 1:36 worth of power play time. We don't see this often. A 4-on-3 power play. McDavid, Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl, and Bouchard, the top 4 of this Edmonton Oilers squad that has been around for a little bit. The core. Face-off won by McDavid, but it was won too cleanly, and they'll have to reset the face-off, and the crowd here just does not like it at all. They share the displeasure here. We only have 12 shots in the game combined, and we have 3 goals combined. So apparently, goaltending is optional in this game so far, at least in this first period. Bouchard, now Draisaitl, goes back for Bouchard at the blue line. Sent it across. Bouchard, or McDavid, goes low. Nugent Hopkins deflected. Draisaitl along the boards. Delaying, stick handling at the blue line. He'll send it across for McDavid. He spins. He'll go back for Bouchard at the blue line. Looking for an option. He shoots it wide of the net. Looking for the deflection from Nugent Hopkins. McDavid tried to center it. He gets it back, though. McDavid looking. He'll send it across for Bouchard. Shot! Save made by Bobrovsky. Bouchard will go back along the boards. McDavid deflected out of play into the netting. He was trying to go across for Draisaitl, but it deflected off a Florida stick. I believe it was Barkov with the play. Great defensive play there by the captain of this Florida squad to keep that pass from going across for Draisaitl. Bouchard shot right off the shoulder blocker of Bobrovsky. Face-off won again by the Oilers. Bouchard looking, fakes the slap shot. McDavid circles it around. Switching with Bouchard in positions. McDavid waiting, shooting, missed the net wide. Draisaitl goes low for Nugent Hopkins near the goal line. Back for Draisaitl in the circle. McDavid at the point, at the blue line. Send it across. Draisaitl missed the one-timer wide. Less than 30 seconds to go. Bouchard looking, waiting, pressured. McDavid gets it now. Back for Bouchard again. Draisaitl looking again, trading positions with McDavid. McDavid, pass across for Draisaitl, deflected. McDavid gets it again along the goal line. 10 seconds to go on the power play. McDavid, Bouchard shot. Rebound, Draisaitl. Glove save by Bobrovsky. He made a save there, Draisaitl. Now McDavid, he'll wait. 4-on-4 for 6 seconds. McDavid waiting. Pass across Draisaitl. Backdoor save, Bobrovsky. Edmonton power play for 15 more seconds. Back to 5-on-4. The Panthers kill that off. The 4-on-3. And this abbreviated power play will come to a close in the next 3 ticks. Stretch pass here, dropped it off. Shot, blocked out in front. It was King with the opportunity. And we're back to 5-on-5 once again. 11-5, the shots favoring the Oilers as they got a 4-on-3 power play. Could not solve Bobrovsky. Kane, Lusterinen now. Kulikov has the puck now. Marchand, now it's Bennett moving in. Mikula shot, glove saved by Stuart Skinner. And Kane moves it up the other way. Look at a counter. Into the zone pot, Colson rimmed it around. Bennett will move it up for Verhaeghe in the middle. Carter Verhaeghe will send it deep into the corner. Rimmed all the way around. Bennett trying to get it. Throws a hit there on Arvidsson, I believe. Klingberg gets it now as everyone's piling in the corner. We've had a lot of penalties, a lot of scoring in this first period. What a way to start the Stanley Cup final. Arvidsson sent it across. Wide open. Janmark stopped. Bobrovsky. Rebound. Arvidsson save. Bobrovsky. He allowed the first shot into the back of the net, I believe. Or the third shot of the game. And ever since then, he has been perfect. A great save. Oh my, that 5-0 was open and it just caught the tip of the pad. We'll be back with 3:53 to go. We're back, everybody. 3:53 left to go in the first period of the Stanley Cup final. Most road goals single postseason. The Panthers with 50. The last one was 1993 with the Kings with 49. Along the boards, goes back to the point. Kulak, Oilers looking to tie it up. Frederick shot, blocked out in front. Loose puck, backhander deflected over the net. Now at the side of the net, Ekblad trying to clear it. Barkov pushes it out. Not held. It is held in, actually. Brown knocked down. Frederick lost it. Ekblad clears it on the backhand. Shots are 13-5 in favor of the Oilers. Oilers have dominated because they've had so many power play opportunities. They've been able to get that offense going. But the Panthers opportunistic, getting their opportunities on their their 2 power plays. Kachuk. Now Bouchard deflected towards the net. Rebound. Bobrovsky makes a save. And also that. Bobrovsky's been really good. It has been that type of night for the Edmonton Oilers. As Perry had the opportunity up tight. No shortage of offense here tonight in the Stanley Cup final. 2-1 Florida. 3:03 remaining in the first. Only 5 shots for the Panthers, the defending champs, but they found a way to get the lead. They've played very good with the lead. 14 shots for Edmonton, 13 saves for Bobrovsky already here in this first period. And it needs to be big still, as there's still 3:03 remaining. Off the face-off, one here, Bouchard from the blue line, shot! Save made by Bobrovsky again. McDavid tried to center it off the side of the net. Up in the air, Mikkola now loose to Renan, trying to move it up, loose along the boards. Held in the zone by Bouchard. McDavid lets it go to Perry behind the net. Back for McDavid along the goal line. He's behind the net, centered in front, and it's stopped by Bobrovsky as he covers it. It was rolling in the crease, and everyone gets together in front of Bobrovsky. 2:37 to go in the first period, and tension building and building and building. 16-5. The shots favoring the Edmonton Oilers. Bobrovsky's been big here in this first period. His team looking for a reset in the second if they can escape this period with a lead. Wallman and Klingberg out there now. Bennett, Verhaeghe, Kachuk. And we'll have the face-off in the Florida zone on the blocker side of Bobrovsky. Kane, Draisaitl, and Kapanen out there. Face-off won by the Panthers, and Kachuk will clear it out to center ice. Wallman sends it across for Klingberg. Back for Wallman again on the drop pass through the middle. Chipped back in by Jake Wallman. Forsling plays it via high stick with 2:21 to go. This period has been one of the longest I've ever commentated in a while. Marchand and McDavid. Oh, Marchand threw a little bit of a hit there on McDavid after the whistle. Marchand the Rat. His reputation's not going to change here just because he's in the Stanley Cup final. He has lost 3 consecutive, I think, Stanley Cup finals. I think he lost in 2013. He lost in 2019. If he loses this year, he'll lose once again. Shot blocked to hit the face of Wallman. He's down on the ice in discomfort. He's going to slowly work to the bench. And it's now Verhaeghe trying to move it in on side. Now Kachuk again. Pressured. Kulak's stick went flying. Klingberg gets it now with 1:50 to go in the first period. Kapanen will send it across into the middle. Kulak trying to get it again from Kane. Kulak will run it all the way around for Draisaitl along the boards. 100 seconds to go in the period. Kachuk will have our intermission report coming up next. Ekblad tries to settle things down here in the final 90 seconds of the first period. Forsling will move it up for Ekblad. Deflected back in, so no icing towards Skinner. A turnover here, and Nosek trying to take advantage. Instead, it's Janmark who picks it up and clears it out of the zone. Schmid gets it now, pressured by Arvidsson. Nosek now on the pass. Chips it back in. Gadjevic trying to get it. Nurse angling him off the puck. Kulikov trying to send it in deep. Intercepted. Less than a minute to go in the period. Schmid has to go back. 2 Oilers trying to get back on the forecheck. And icing here on the Panthers with 48.8 remaining. 15-5, the shots favoring the Oilers here in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. We welcome you in if you're just tuning in with us. We're delighted to have you with us here on our coverage of the Stanley Cup Final on NHL and MHS. 48.8 remaining in the first period. The Oilers looking to tie it up here. They still got a lot of time here in this period. They're going to even it up going into the first intermission, or the Panthers will take a very lucky lead. They only have 5 shots on goal, 15 for the Oilers. Schmid as the Panthers win a faceoff. Boquist try to clear it, held in by Corey Perry. Deep into the corner, McDavid. Draisaitl along the boards. Schmid moves it up now. 30 seconds remaining in the first. No icing as it's waved off by the linesman. Ekholm. Reinhart throws a hit on him late. Draisaitl now. McDavid with some speed. That's offside of the line with 19.8 remaining in the period. Connor McDavid was just a little bit ahead, I think. Or I think it was Draisaitl. That was a little bit ahead entering the blue line. But no shortage of physical play here tonight. We've only had 1 period of this Stanley Cup Final, and we've already seen a lot of physicality early on. Face-off one here. Seth Jones will pass it across for Mikkola. Flips it at center. Off the glove of Barkov, who fell down. 10 seconds remaining. Shot back in. Save made. Skinner. That's the first Florida shot in a while here. And that'll end the first period. Another shot stopped there by Skinner at the buzzer. And the Panthers will take a 2-1 lead after the first period. The Oilers dominated in the shots on goal got the early strike 1:06 in, but they're trailing after one here in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. The defending champs trying to find a way to take Game 1 here in Edmonton. A very good Edmonton squad at their home building. We will see if they can hold on here. But your score after the first, 2-1. We'll be back with our intermission report coming up next. Stanley Cup Final coverage on NHL and MHS. We'll be right back. We welcome you back to the Stanley Cup playoffs, Stanley Cup final, and the Oilers and the Florida Panthers. The first goal was scored by Draisaitl at 1:06, and then I believe it was, a Reinhardt or someone. I'm not sure. I think it was Lundell potentially. I think it might have been Reinhardt that threw that one towards the net, and then Marchand took the lead. He's the difference right now in the score. As our intermission report here will start, and then we'll carry over into our second period as we welcome you in, everybody, to the Stanley Cup final. Delighted to have you with us here tonight and joining us in our broadcast and our coverage for sure. And we will see what the Oilers can do to respond in this period. They played such a good first period. They had 15 or 16 shots towards the goal of Sergei Bobrovsky, and all of them were stopped, basically, except for that one 1:06 in. But ever since he let up that one, he has been rock solid. Ever since Skinner has come back in the playoffs, he's been very good. He's let up 2 goals on 6 shots now. And some great plays by Florida, catching that Oilers defense out of position. And that's why we have a lot of stuff happening and a lot of goals happening in the Florida Panthers' favor. We excuse what is going on in the chat. Just people just spamming bots. And yeah, we will carry it over to the second period right now. Switch it back to our score bug over there. And our second period about to begin here in Edmonton, Alberta. We welcome you back to the Stanley Cup final as we're almost underway in the second period. The Oilers looking for a response. The Panthers continuing to try to just hold on to their 2-1 lead that they only had 6 shots on, but were able to get 2 past Stuart Skinner. A power play goal by Marchand is the difference in this game. Both teams have had leads. Only the Oilers have lost their lead. The question is, will the Panthers lose their lead tonight, or will they build on how they kind of escaped a dominated Oilers period in the first and see if their game gets better here in the second? You know the Oilers are fueled by that first period of not being able to convert on Bobrovsky. Is it one of those nights? Bobrovsky, very good. 14-7, the shots were in favor of the Oilers after the first period. Comes into the middle shot. Rodriguez's shot was blocked. And the other way come the Oilers. Nugent-Hopkins moves it in with Perry. Corey Perry on the outside was pressured by Mikkola. Nugent-Hopkins hits it behind the net. He'll send it back in the skates of McDavid, who was pressured by Barkov. Off the skate of Barkov. Perry to the front. Save made by Bobrovsky, and it's flipped out to center ice. So the Oilers going to the net front once again. Already having a shot on goal in the opening seconds of the second period. Nurse with the puck now. He'll play it for Draisaitl. Trying to move up. 7-0 in this postseason when the Florida Panthers are leading after the first period. That's their record. Trying to make it 8-0 and take game 1 of this Stanley Cup final. They took it last year in Florida when they had home ice advantage in that series. Lundell, and he rolls back down the length of the ice. No icing on the Panthers. And Nurse will pick it up for the Oilers. He'll move it up. Got through Draisaitl. Kapanen along the boards. And it's picked up here by Edmonton once again. Kane pressured. Loose along the wall. Kapanen trying to get it. Kane couldn't get it as well. Kulak will send it across. Stretch pass deflected. Back into the corner in the Florida zone. Only 1 shot on goal in this period. A turnover here. Frederick looking to center it. Could not. Rimmed all the way around. Held in. And Verhaeghe will pick up the puck now. And potentially a rush here for the Panthers. Bennett's open. Sam Bennett scores! 2 minutes into the second period. Sam Bennett extended the lead for the Panthers. It's 3-1. What a pass to Sam Bennett, who was open. And 2 minutes in, Sam Bennett goes blocker side, and it's 3-1 Panthers. Schmid with the pass to Bennett, who was wide open as Henrique was trying to get back. Too late, and the Panthers have a 3-1 lead. Perfect shot on the blocker side of Skinner. 3 goals on 8 shots, and the face-off one here by McDavid, but comes free to Nosek and shot back in by Boquist. So the Oilers give up the goal early on again, and Nosek held it in, sent it deep into the corner. It looks like a little bit of discomfort there on one of the Florida players. Might have been Reinhardt potentially. It is at Gadjevich, actually, who's going down to the locker room. Here is Perry looking. He'll go back, shot, and it just missed the net wide. Wallman with the opportunity. Skinner now will play it for Klingberg, who was pressured near the net front. And he'll stretch it up into the middle. Arvidsson ices the puck here. No, he won't. Beat by Podkolzin was Barkov. Held in, Bouchard's shot. Deflected towards the net, it was blocked. 3 minutes in, collision between two Oilers. And the other way comes a 4-on-2 for the Panthers potentially, but someone lost their stick. It was Barkov. Rodriguez steals it away though, he fell. Everyone falling for the Panthers. Podkolzin will move it in. He'll drop it off for Arvidsson, slaps one, and scores! It looked like Bobrovsky got a piece of it, but not all of it. And the Oilers get a goal, get within one again. And the scoring continues. It's 3-2. Arvidsson just rips one. Might have deflected off of someone. No, that just beat Bobrovsky clean. And Florida gives a goal right after they had just made it a 3-1 lead. 2 goals in 1:17. Jones lost to the Kapanen. And the Oilers get within one. Kapanen with the puck now. He'll shoot it back into the corner. Boquist will get it. Or pardon me, Mikkola. Marchand and has moved up here. Potentially an odd-man rush. 3-on-2. Poke checked away, but got it back. Jones. Seth Jones shot. Save made by Skinner. Rebound deflected wide. Vermeulen is played via high stick, but knocked down by one of the Oilers, so it's negated. 4 minutes in, we've already had 2 goals. Held in. Goes behind the net for Draisaitl. Oilers looking to tie it up here in the second period. 16-9, the shots favoring the Oilers. Luostarinen. Now Brown will pass it back. Wallman stretches it up here off the stick of Frederick. Mikkola trying to get it. Loose along the boards is fought for. Jammed up along the boards. Tkachuk trying to get it. Victor Arvidsson with the goal. His second of the postseason, and Podkolzin and Bouchard with the assists. Jones looking to move it up, and Jones clears it out to center ice. Verhaeghe trying to get the loose puck, and he could not, as Wallman gets it now. Pressured by Verhaeghe. Tkachuk trying to get back. Wallman trying to move through, and he gets hip checked and cleared out of the zone by the Panthers. Klingberg pressured by Verhaeghe. He fell down on his own. He turned it over. Carter Verhaeghe trying to go all alone. On the backhand, he got stick lifted. Wow, what a defensive play to get back for the Oilers. It was Brown who caught Verhaeghe. Kulikov now. Verhaeghe would have been all alone. Just took a little bit too long to handle the puck. Skinner out to play it. And McDavid right off the tip of his stick. Moved out to center ice. Corey Perry is in. He'll shoot it all the way around. He's 40 years old, and he's played well. His 6th finals appearance in the past 7 years. Rodriguez trying to get it loose along the boards, and it's cleared out by Ekholm out to center ice. Nugent Hopkins is trying to knock it down. Forsling deflected, icing on Florida. So now it's a 3-2 game. Here in game number 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Right now, it has been a very physical game, very high-scoring game. Verhaeghe was all alone here, and Brown stick lifted him. Or Verhaeghe was able to get that backhand off and potentially make it a 4-2 lead, and Verhaeghe on the bench. Looking at the iPad, I believe. 16-10, the shot's favoring the Panthers. It's flipped out to center ice. And Kulak has the puck, and he'll send it across for Nurse. Darnell Nurse will shoot it back in. Deflected into the slot. Draisaitl passed it. Kapanen dropped it off. Shot. Nurse's shot was blocked. Kapanen got a hit there. Draisaitl, as Ekblad fell down in the corner. Still fought for along the boards. Nurse will send it across. Kulak's shot was stopped by Bobrovsky through traffic. Draisaitl tried to hold it in. He could not. Kapanen gets it now off the pass from Draisaitl. He'll pass it across for Draisaitl now along the far side. Gets hip checked there by Forsling, then gets tripped up. No penalty. Ekblad. Hit delivered along the glass. Shot back in. 3-2. Florida leading it. Here in game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Sent down the length of the ice, but no icing. Jones will go back. Thrown a hit there by Podkolzin. Turnover out in front of the net. Couldn't get a stick on it. Was Janmark. Marchand will dump it back in. To the corner it goes. Klingberg. Leveled by Marchand behind the net. Pressured. Klingberg gets it back. And Lundell was trying to get the puck back, but Klingberg passes it across for Wallman. Looking to counter here are the Oilers. Wallman and then Podkolzin will get it now. Kachuk now will move it into the middle. Here's Verhaeghe on side. Passes it. Reinhart pressured. He'll get it back again. It was Bennett, pardon me. Kachuk, Bennett, and Verhaeghe. A lot of hits being thrown here. A lot of physicality. Kachuk tried to hold it in. Could not. He'll pass it back down the length of the ice. Game 2 of this series will be on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Deflected down the length of the ice, and an icing here on the Panthers with 12:14 to go in the second period. We'll be back. 3-2, Florida leads. Or so I thought. I thought we were going to commercial. We're back, everybody. As the Oilers look to win a face-off parry. Now McDavid. He'll go back to the point for Ekholm. Rimmed all the way around. Perry. Nugent Hopkins trying to get to the loose puck. Pressured off a Panthers stick. Marchand. Nosek. Loose along the wall. Tomas Nosek will look to move it up. And he will. Passes it up for Marchand along the boards. Pressured. Ducks down on a hit. As Bouchard was trying to get to him. Marchand deflected up in the air. Knocked down by Boquist. Shot. Wide of the net. Ekblad. Rimmed it all the way around. Florida pressuring here. Barkov lost it to McDavid. And a vacant point. And Forsling turns it over. Reinhart will move it in. 3-on-2 for the Panthers. Reinhart. Shot. Deflected wide of the net. Bouchard will move it up now for the Oilers. Stolen away by Rodriguez on the back check. One of the linesmen went down, and Perry will shoot it back in. Ekblad stretches it up to the middle, onside, but it deflected off of Oilers stick and Frederick. More than 9 has passed here in the second. It was 3-1 Florida. Barbertson cut the deficit to 1 again. To make it 3-2. Luostarinen along the boards. Brown trying to get it. Still jammed up along the boards near the far side. Reinhart, Ekblad, Forsling comes free to the middle. Ekblad and Forsling have been out there for a long time. It's dumped back in. Played by Skinner behind the net. Luostarinen tied up with Nurse. Frederick, that pass. It's going to be an icing here on Edmonton with 10:21 to go in the second period. Florida. Edmonton trying to get back in the game. They were down 3-1 at one point, but then they responded a minute and changed later. 10:21 to go in the second period of game number 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. 16-11, the shots favoring the Edmonton Oilers. The Oilers have not gotten much shots since the goal. I believe since the goal they have not gotten a shot. Shot back down the length of the ice. Another icing on Edmonton with 10:12 to go. And with the second period, we're almost halfway through this game number 1. McDavid on the bench right now, looking onto the ice. Paul Maurice led his team to last year's Stanley Cup Final and won it, but led them to the Stanley Cup Final the year prior against Vegas. They were not expected to make the final. Cinderella run. Tkachuk tried to center it, and he did. And a save made. Rebound shot. Just glanced off the glove of Skinner. Brown. Nurse, and then it's dropped off for McDavid. Try to stretch it up, and instead it goes off the stick there. And it's back in for Jones. Seth Jones now with the puck in his own zone between the circles. Deflected back into the corner. No icing. Sam Bennett with 2 goals in the game. 4 shots on goal and 2 hits. Another hit delivered behind the net. Kapanen dropped it off for Draisaitl, trying to spin through a check from Tkachuk. And Tkachuk passed it for Ekblad, who dumps it back in. Verhaeghe now to the loose puck. Pressured along the boards. He fell down. Draisaitl tried to move it up, and Kapanen sends it across for Klingberg. Now for Draisaitl, deflected off a stick of Kane. Forsling trying to get back on Draisaitl. Kane, shot, blocked out in front of the net. Wallman with the one-timer. Panthers looked to just dump it back in. It was Marchand who dumped it back in. 9 minutes to go in the second. A turnover here. Lucerinen dropped it off. Shot. Save made by Skinner on Barkov. Dropped it off. Schmidt's shot. Rebound. Oh, what a save, Skinner. Rebound. Reinhart blocked out in front of the net. Reinhart gets it. Or pardon me, Barkov. Goes back to the point. Held in by Kulikov. And it's forced out of the zone. Janmark. What a save by Skinner at the other end, though. Stretch pass here. Reinhart getting to the loose puck. But Arvidsson with some speed instead gets it. Klingberg now. They're going to go cross ice. To Ekholm. Onside. Shot. Wide of the net into the corner. Second period chances. 5-1 favoring the Panthers. Ekholm. Shot. Deflected wide of the net. Kulikov now. Will go back for Seth Jones as the Oilers are forechecking hard here. Ekholm now will dump it back in. Deflected off the glove of Jones. Here is Rodriguez now with the puck. He'll shoot it back in. Less than 8 to go in the second period. Bouchard passes off the backboards to Ekholm. And knocked down was Perry. Fans think that should have been a cross-checking penalty. They do not call anything there. Bouchard with the puck will dump it back into the corner. Ekblad lost the puck. Perry. Now Nugent Hopkins with the puck now. Goes back to the point. Kulak's shot. Deflected wide of the net. Perry and Ekblad tied up in the corner. Fans want a penalty. They won't get it. Nugent Hopkins with the puck. Shots are even at 16. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Deflected. McDavid gets it now. Trying to move through Ekblad. Instead, Ekblad backs it, hands it out of the zone. Nurse now with the puck. Will shoot it back in on the far wing. Forsling. Lusterinen will backhand it out to center ice. Almost turned over there. Wallman recovers. Nurse will send it across for Draisaitl into the zone. Dropped it off. Henrique dropped it into the middle. Wallman on the backhand on the side of the net. It was actually Brown who carried the puck in. Henrique will go back to the point for Wallman. Dancing the point. He'll look to shoot it. He does. Deflected save. Rebound. Frederick missed it wide. Forsling. And it's moved up here by Nosek and cleared out of the zone. That will be an icing on the Panthers with 6:18 remaining in the second period. And will we get a commercial now? I'm not sure. I don't think we will. Huge opportunity here. 6:18 to go. Woolman with this opportunity from the point deflected. Right up, the double deflection actually, a double doink. And the rebound by Frederick missed the net wide by a mile as he was falling down in the process trying to get a shot off. Draisaitl out there with, I believe, Kapanen and Kane. Bouchard and Ekholm out there as well. Face-off one here. Well, they changed up the lines here. It's now Kane, McDavid, and Draisaitl. That one deflected at center. Verhaeghe dumped back in by Rodriguez into the far corner. Ekholm pressured by Rodriguez. Draisaitl helping him out. Held into the point by Jones. Rimmed all the way around. It's blocked by Draisaitl, and Ekholm picks it up. He'll pass it to Draisaitl. Leon Draisaitl will move it in on side. Dropped it off for McDavid. Passes it far wing. Shot! Bouchard denied! And his stick broke in the process. He gets a new one off the bench. Jones will rim it all the way around as Bouchard got a new twig. Reinhart dropped it off for Rodriguez. Goes back to the point. Rodriguez gets it again towards the slot. Reinhart goes back to the point. Shot was blocked out in front of the net and cleared out to center ice. Shot back in by Mikkola. Rodriguez. Ekholm couldn't get it. Kachuk to the loose puck, trying to center it. Deflected towards the front. And that will roll down, no icing. Bobrovsky out to play it, stretches it up. Could be a chance here for Kachuk. Matthew Kachuk in, shoots. It was blocked, loose puck in front. Kachuk will pass it, shot. And it goes wide of the net. Bennett tried to center it. Again, Schmidt sends it across. Kulikov's shot on the one-timer was blocked. Kulikov tries to recover. Janmark sends it across. Still a broken twig there of Bouchard, I believe. Shot off the side of the net. Podkolzin and Janmark will rim it all the way around. Less than 5 to go. To the point again. Kulak will send it across for Nurse. He'll look for an option. He'll send it deep into the corner. Pressured by Kachuk. Perry trying to get to the loose puck. Kachuk. Now Nugent Hopkins went down in the process. No penalty. 3-on-2 for the Panthers. Bennett passes it. Schmidt trying to get it. It was not a clean pass there. Kulak tried to clear it, turned over. Verhaeghe shot over the net. Another turnover by the Oilers. Marchand gets it now to the point again. Shot by Forsling, missed the net wide. Ekblad lost it along the boards. Lundell's shot goes wide and into the corner. Forsling will get to the loose puck. Shot, save made by Skinner with 3:52 to go as the Panthers were pressuring but didn't get a goal out of it. And Perry and Forsling have to get separated and will finally go to commercial. 3:52 to go in the second period. Bennett with 2 goals. He's the difference right now. The Panthers lead 3-2. back, everybody. 3-2 Florida leading it. Here in game number 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Florida looking to continue their lead. 15 saves on 18 shots for Stuart Skinner tonight. 10 saves here in this second period. Panthers have put on a lot of pressure and got into their game. The shots are 17, pardon me. Klingberg has the puck behind the net as the Oilers won the face-off. Banks it out to center ice. Race for the puck here. Draisaitl trying to get to the loose puck against Forsling. Frederick trying to get it loose along the boards. Ekblad almost turned it over. And Forsling will clear it out to center ice. No icing here as Ekholm will pick it up with 3.5 minutes to go in the second period. He'll look for a line change here, potentially a stretch pass option. The Oilers looking for the tying goal. They got more than 23 minutes to look to find one. That deflected out of play with 3:16 to go. In the second period, the Oilers have thrown some chances towards the net front. And they have been promising so far. They need to get some more, though. They haven't been able to score since the Arvidsson chance, and they need some goals desperately here in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Marchand won the face-off. Shot! Save made by Skinner. Lundell, a ton of turnover. Luostarinen, Lundell, Luostarinen trying to get it back off the pass from Lundell. He gets hit down to the length of the ice. Draisaitl hit there along the boards. Luostarinen is onside. He shoots over the net. And Ekholm looking to clear it. Kane passes it across. Deflected at center ice. It's loose. Off the bench is Tkachuk. Looked like potentially too many men, and then Tkachuk gets laid down to the ice. It's laid down to the ground. 2.5 to go in the second. Mikkola off the boards, out to center ice. Bennett will shoot it back in from the blue line. Rimmed around for Hagee trying to get to the loose puck. Off the side of the net, Skinner makes a save there and covers the puck for a whistle with 2:18 remaining in this second period. We'll be back with 2:18 remaining in the second. 3-2, Florida still leading it in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. We welcome you back to the Stanley Cup Final. First head coach since Scotty Bowman to reach Stanley Cup in first 2 seasons. The head coach of the Edmonton Oilers is Chris Knobloch. That was back in 1968 to 70. That hasn't happened since then, and now it has happened here with the Oilers returning to the Stanley Cup Final and Knobloch in his first 2 seasons here in Edmonton. McDavid and Bennett in the face-off dot. And it's going to be a false start there on the dot. 2:18 to go in the second period. We'll have our intermission report coming up next here on the NHL and MHS. Still a delay on the face-off. 20-17, the shots favoring the Panthers. Now it's for Hagee and McDavid. And there's still a delay. The linesman does not want to drop the puck, apparently. And that's why we have a delay here still. Verhaeghe, and now it's Nugent Hopkins. They've swept like 4 players already in this face-off dot. Finally, won by Verhaeghe. Forsling, now Kachuk along the board. Shot was blocked out in front by Wallman. Held on the line by Forsling. Bennett has the puck. He's on a hat-trick watch in game 1. Sam Bennett will drop it out. Shot by Ekblad through traffic, was stopped by Skinner with 1:59 to go, and Wallman shaking the effects off that block he had earlier on in the shift. Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final will be at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern, not 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern, pardon me, here in Edmonton on Friday night. Then Game 3 of the series will be on Monday in Florida. Then Thursday, Game 4, and if necessary, a Game 5 on Saturday, June 14th. All spread around throughout the schedule. These are the final 7 potential games of the NHL 2024-25 season. Reinhart will move it in. Shot deflected. Skinner made a save with 1:48 to go. (21-18), the shots favoring the Panthers. That deflected off the stick of Kulak and changed up directions towards Skinner. He tried to glove it. Had to get his stick to get it near his glove. 1:48 to go. Draisaitl. And Barkov wins the faceoff. Shot from distance was stopped and goes wide of the net. Jones sweeping behind the net. A wraparound attempt was stopped. Draisaitl now trying to move it up for Nurse. Chipped it. Deflected off the boards awkwardly. Barkov denied. Rebound was loose in front of the net. Here is Kane the other way. Look at the counter. Evander Kane, and then Draisaitl gets high-sticked in an Oilers power play. Delayed penalty upcoming to Florida. Behind the net is Draisaitl. Pressured along the boards, is touched with 1:13 to go. And Edmonton will go to the power play. Players being separated, Kane and Mikkola and Nurse. And a fifth there by Mikkola. A high stick with 1:13 to go. Oilers to the power play when we return. We welcome you back. With a minute and 13 to go, Rodriguez goes to the box for a high sticking. And the Oilers will go to the power play. Barkov had this chance down low for weird carom, and it was loose and would have made it 4-2. And then the other way, Rodriguez takes a high sticking penalty. And Draisaitl, face-off comes out of the zone. 24-18, the shots favoring the Panthers here in game one. Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, Perry, and Bouchard. If they don't score on this power play of a minute and 13, they'll still have 47 seconds remaining, carrying over to the third period. So Rodriguez for high sticking, potentially a costly one here. Bouchard dropped it out for McDavid. Connor McDavid will pass it across. Draisaitl along the boards. Goes back to the point for Bouchard. Sent to the cross for Nugent Hopkins. Less than a minute to go. Bouchard looking. McDavid back for Bouchard again. Shot off the blocker. Bobrovsky. McDavid. Nugent Hopkins again. Looking on the backhand. Draisaitl in the circle. His usual spot where he shoots that puck. Bouchard. Now McDavid. Back for Bouchard. Across for Draisaitl. Save made by Bobrovsky. It went through the crease. 30 seconds to go. McDavid goes low into the corner. Shot. Nugent Hopkins denied. Draisaitl. Now McDavid again. 23 to go. Draisaitl blocked. Draisaitl again. Bouchard with 15 to go. McDavid looking. Draisaitl. Bouchard shot. Save made by Bobrovsky. Barkov clears it down the length of the ice. Great saves by Bobrovsky. 5 seconds to go in the period. Bouchard just fires it down. That'll end the second. The Oilers with 47 seconds to go on the power play. When we return to the third period, they trail by 1, like they did after the first. We will see if Florida can hold on, or will the Oilers tie it up and figure out a way. We could potentially see some overtime here tonight if it stays 3-3, if the Oilers were to get the tying goal and stay scoreless for the remainder of the third. They just got to get that tying goal. We'll be back. Stanley Cup Final action continues. We welcome you back to the Stanley Cup Final as the Oilers are looking for the tying goal here in game number 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. They look to try to tie the game at 3. They have a power play opportunity about to go underway here. And they are trying a lot right now, for sure. Third period about to be underway here in game number 1 of the final. 47 seconds remaining on the Oilers power play. And off the face-off, it is one here. Bouchard with the puck. Has it. He'll drop it off for McDavid. He'll pass it on the far wing and deflect it out to center ice, so they'll have to reset. Bouchard will pass it cross ice. Out of the reach. Perry gets it behind the net now. Draisaitl goes back up high for Bouchard. Back for Draisaitl again. Looking now at the point. Makes a move. Now in the circle. Goes back up high for Bouchard again with 15 to go. Bouchard looking. Draisaitl rolled off his stick. Bouchard shot. Save. Rebound out in front. Nugent Hopkins couldn't get the pass and slapped down the length of the ice. And the power play expires for the Oilers. Back on side of McDavid. Then Forsling will send it down. No icing. Played via Skinner. And now a minute has passed by here in the third. 3-2. Florida leading it here in game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Kulak dropped it off for Kapanen, who rimmed it all the way around. Mikkola couldn't get it. Kane doesn't know where the puck was. 0 for 3 on the power play of the Oilers. Now it's a 3-on-2 the other way. Chipped back into the zone. Into the corner along the wall. Shot by Barkov. Went wide of the net. And Kane will pick it up. And that's intercepted at center ice. Rodriguez will shoot it back in. Minute and a half has passed by here. 3-2. Florida leading it. 24-22. The shots favoring the Panthers. They have the lead. Have had the lead since the first period. Deflected. Janmark has it. Then Podkolzin passed it back to Ekholm. Then Klingberg off the pass from Ekholm. Returns it back. Deflected up in the air at center ice. Bennett will pass it back for Kulikov. Keen to get his way out of trouble. Schmid now has the puck. Marchand fell down. Rolling towards Skinner. It's stopped. 2:10 in to the third period of game 1. Reinhardt has some opportunities in this game. Bennett as well. This line's been great for Florida. All 4 lines have been great for the Panthers. Lusterinen getting robbed on that opportunity, and then Lundell on the first shot. Stuart Skinner's been big so far in this game. Is it enough, though? Oilers need 1 shot to go in to tie it up. And the potential of overtime's lingering. Shot off the face-off was blocked. Deflected out to center ice. Brown. Then Ekblad has it. Flipped into the air. Stuart Skinner's 6-1 in his last 7 starts. Lundell has the puck. He shoots it. It was blocked off the side of the cage. Klingberg was pressured by Lundell. They both go down in a heap. Lusterinen along the boards. Trying to get it. Klingberg. And Ekholm will backhand it out to center ice. So the Oilers looking for the response from that Florida goal. They did find that one, but it was make it 3-2. They need another response here. Marchand is in on a turnover. Lusterinen on the backhand missed the net wide. An open Lusterinen. And backhand that one wide. Ekholm will drop it off for Bouchard. And now Draisaitl on the pass from Bouchard. Into the zone onside. Sends it deep into the corner. Mikkola. Reinhardt will deflect it out to the blue line and out of the zone. Bouchard and Reinhardt battling for the puck. Bouchard won that battle. And he'll pass it back for Wallman. Bouchard off the boards. Wallman again on the far side. Shot. Wide of the net. Rolling back to the blue line for Bouchard. Flipped it behind the net. McDavid looking. Centered it. Deflected off a stick of Rodriguez. And he looks to counter the other way. Gets through a check and sends it in deep. Wallman has the puck now. Passes it across for Bouchard. Nothing much has happened here in the third period, and the only chance we've gotten was Lustarinen's backhander that just missed the net wide. Deflected out to center, and Boquist will look to move it up with Gadjevic. Gadjevic on the forecheck with Kulak. Kulak wins the puck battle in the corner. He'll look to counter the other way. He lost his stick. And Schmidt has the puck, and he'll shoot it back in from center ice. No icing here as Skinner went out to play it. Turned over behind the net. Gadjevic trying to get it. Boquist now pressured by Henrique. And Kapanen couldn't get it. Nurse now will move it up into center ice. Kane chipped it into the corner. Kane went down a heap. And Bennett will worm it all the way around. Ekblad now. And it's flipped out to center ice for Verhaeghe. And then Bennett couldn't receive the pass from Verhaeghe. A turnover here. Verhaeghe stole it away from Klingberg. Verhaeghe shot over the net. And deflected out of the net. Out of play into the netting. 4:50 in. Third period here in Edmonton, Alberta. Rogers Place. Capacity crowd here. For the second year in a row. They are watching the Stanley Cup Final with the Panthers and the Oilers. Verhaeghe dragging that puck there against Ekholm. Deflected off the stick of Ekholm. That's why he went out of play into the netting. He has 2 assists tonight, too. Carter Verhaeghe. 6 goals in these playoffs. That's a false start on the face-off dot. We'll reset. Add a second back to the clock, and we'll restart that. 15:10 to go. 25-22. The shots favoring the Panthers. Face-off. Won by the Oilers. Nurse has it. Teams that win game 1 in a best-of-7 are 65-20. Series record in a Stanley Cup Final history. Lundell. Last year, the Panthers did win that game 1 and won the whole thing. Skinner leaves it for Kulak. We're going to hold on here. Turned over again. Luostarinen tries to feed it out in front for Marchand. That was blocked away by Nurse. Ekblad falls down. Brown off the turnover. Thought he had someone at the point. Instead, he turns it over to Lundell. He'll chip it deep into the corner. Nurse pressuring him off the puck. And Brown will chip it out to center ice. Mikkola fell down. This ice has been really chippy, I guess, because a lot of Florida players have fell down onto the ice. Like 5 of them. Rodriguez now with the puck now. He'll shoot it back in. 14:15 to go. Wallman will rim it all the way around. Bouchard couldn't get it. McDavid backhands it. Around Draisaitl sent to the cross. Wallman now Perry on side. Dropped it off. Wallman denied. Bobrovsky with the opportunity for the save. Draisaitl. Rodriguez will backhand it out to center ice. Wallman retreats and has the puck again. 21 saves for Bobrovsky tonight. 22 for Skinner. Schmid off the glass. Cleared out to center. Kachuk knocked it down. Bouchard. Now McDavid. Moves it in. Leaves it in the middle. Kapanen back for McDavid down low. In front of the net. Shot, scores! Ekholm ties it up for the Edmonton Oilers. And we're even at 3 in game 1. $13:27 to go in the third period. Matthias Ekholm ties it up for Edmonton. The pass from McDavid. And the crowd is back in it again. Ekholm through 2 Panthers. Bennett was screening his own goalie. And it's 3-3. And the Oilers have found a way to even it up. His first of these playoffs. He returned to the Western Conference Final against Dallas. He gets his first of these playoffs. He missed time since April 11th when he got an injury. He has his first here. McDavid and Kapanen with the assists. And Kapanen looks to move it into the corner. Oilers trying to get the lead for the first time since the first period, when they scored 1:06 in. Instead, Gadjevic steals it away, and Boquist moves it up 3-on-2 potentially for the Panthers. Boquist looking. Lost the puck to Ekholm. Klingberg. Now Nosek will try to get in the corner. He will. He'll rim it all the way around. No one's there. Now it feels like overtime has started early, as we're even at 3 in game 1 of the final. Deflected into the middle. Here's Kane on the outside. Evander Kane circling behind the net. He fell down. And Schmidt will move it up for Lusterinen off the stick of one of the Oilers. Cleared out to center ice. Janmark was trying to move it in. 12.5 to go in the third period of game 1 of the Stanley Cup final. Kulak has the puck. He'll circle back and look to stretch it up. Chipped back into the corner, and Bobrovsky. And that was, I believe, offside, so he didn't even get the chance to cover it. 12:15 to go in the third period. We're even at 3 as the Edmonton Oilers find a way to even it up with Ekholm's goal. We'll be back. We're back, everybody. And with 12:10 to go in the third period, loose along the boards, Nurse has it, rimmed it all the way around. Florida trying to take the lead shot, blocked into the corner. Henrique, loose along the boards. Barkov trying to get it. Shot, deflected wide of the net. Shot again, was blocked out in front. Kulak now with the puck, has it behind the net. Turned over here. Barkov couldn't receive the pass. Comes out to center ice. Shot back in. Skinner out to play it. Kulak. And now Nurse gets it back. Darnell Nurse with the puck now. Banks it off the boards out to center ice. Draisaitl. Now for McDavid with some speed. Connor McDavid trying to get through. Mikkola couldn't go. We'll go back to the point now. Wallman now Bouchard. Draisaitl along the boards. McDavid pressured along the boards by Mikkola. Deflected out of the zone. Fans want a penalty on behind the play. Want a hit from McDavid. Lundell. That banked off of someone's skate. And here's Draisaitl on the far wing. Shot wide of the net. Bouchard's shot. Gloved by Bobrovsky with 10:58 to go in the third period of play. .58 to go. Draisaitl, 8 goals, 18 assists in these playoffs Face-off one here. Is Forsling who tries to clear it out to center ice. He will. Verhaeghe has the puck. He shoots wide of the net. And cleared down the length of the ice, and another icing by the Oilers. With 10:42, pardon me, left to go in the third period. Three tie, 25-24. The shots favoring the Florida Panthers. Bouchard gets it off the faceoff. It was blocked, and then Wallman will pick it up, looking to clear it. Held in along the boards. Bennett has the puck. Fought for as they get sticks into the pile. Wallman, Nugent Hopkins, still battled for along the boards. Ekblad gets it free. Backhands it to the corner. Bouchard. And now it's Wallman who has the puck. Deflected. Kachuk. 2-on-2 potentially. Verhaeghe couldn't get the puck now. Now he will. Has the puck off a turnover. Sent it across and no one was there. Ekblad held it in though, and Bennett has it in the corner. Pressured along the wall. Wallman, less than 10 to go in the third period of game number 1. Forsling held it in. Hit off a body. Verhaeghe went down in the circle. Puck is under him. And now a 3-on-2 potentially for the Oilers. Nugent Hopkins. And that's disrupted there, and Forsling has the puck and deflects it down the length of the ice for another icing with 9:37 to go. .9:37 to go in the 3-3 tie. The tying goal by Matthias Ekholm. And the Oilers trying to get some momentum off of that. They feel the momentum right now, at least, for the moment. The Panthers trying to calm themselves down. Bouchard leads Oilers defensemen in all those categories. Goals, assists, and I believe points. And with 9:37 to go in the third period of Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final, it is Nosek and Draisaitl on the face-off dot. It's Draisaitl, Perry, and McDavid out there. They've changed the lines. Shot back in by Klingberg. Rimmed around Barkov. Now Reinhart looking to clear it. Draisaitl held it in. Goes low into the corner. McDavid, a backhander. Oh, it just went through the crease. It was right on the goal line. Mikkola. The other way. It's shot back in. Oilers this close to taking the lead right back. Perry moves it up for McDavid with some speed. On Jones, McDavid's shot scooped up into the glove of Bobrovsky with a 9:01 to go in the third. McDavid off the shoulder, rolling wide of the net. McDavid this close to taking the lead for the Oilers. We'll be back. We're back, everybody, with 9:01 to go in the third period of a game one that's even at 3 here in the Stanley Cup Final. Shot by Kulak, save, rebound! Was blocked out in front by Barkov. Rodriguez will shoot it back in from center ice. Rimmed all the way around, Barkov has it, lost it. Off the stick of Nurse. Overtimes feel like it's already started early on here. Kulikov. Let's see if we're going to see some overtime here tonight. Nurse and Barkov together along the boards. Marchand gets it. Pressured. Marchand gets through 2 checks. Marchand looking. Shot towards the net. Rebound. It's loose. Lundell trying to get it. Lusterinen on the forecheck. Lundell off the turnover. To the point for Kulikov. Shot. Blocked. Held in by Schmid. Deflected across for Marchand. He's looking for an option. He's trying to center it. Goes to the crease. Schmid goes into the point. Lundell on the side of the net was stopped by Skinner. Lusterinen. Less than 8 to go. Oilers tired out there, but it comes out to center ice and they'll get a change. Deflected, and Kulikov will chip it back in. Bouchard now. With 7:40 to go in the third. Kachuk almost intercepted it off the skate of Janmark. He'll send it across. For Wallman, had to slow it down a little bit, forced out the center ice, shot back in. 7.5 to go in the third period of a game one. Even at 3. Verhaeghe moves it up into the zone. Wallman lost his footing. Verhaeghe shot. Slowed down, and Kachuk tried to get the puck, and he could not. Would have been an open net for him. Ekblad off the boards. Not cleared out yet. Held in by Edmonton. Goes low into the corner. Podkolzin. Arvidsson pressured by Ekblad. Arvidsson, and Kachuk intercepts it, and Bennett will move it up and chip it back in. Deflected off a body, and Henry gets it. 7 minutes to go in the third period of game one of the Stanley Cup Final. Shot back in by Klingberg. Save made by Bobrovsky. We'll get a whistle with 6:53 to go. Third period, 6:53 remaining. 3-3 tie. 23 saves on 26 shots faced tonight for Stuart Skinner. He might have to make more. There's still less than 7 minutes to go in this one. And it's an even game at 3. Mikkola on the restart on the face-off dot. 6:53 remaining. Third period. Face-off one here. Barkov gets it. Looking to clear it. Could not. Loose along the boards. Fought 4 along the wall. Rodriguez can't clear it out yet. Draisaitl goes back to the point. Ekholm now. Bouchard waiting. Delane shooting. Save made by Bobrovsky. Reinhart deflected out to center ice, and Rodriguez will get it. And Ekholm now will try to move it up into the middle. Intercepted there by Jones. 6:25 to go. Bouchard. And now it's moved up here by Draisaitl. 7 shots on goal for the Oilers in the period. 2 for the Panthers. 6:16 remaining. Another whistle. As Bobrovsky get the whistle there. $6:16 to go in the third. And we still have a lot of time remaining in this third period. See if the Oilers can try to find a way to take the lead, both same as the Panthers. Or will we see this go into overtime? The last overtime game we had a Stanley Cup Final was back in 2023 in a Game 3 between Vegas and Florida. Florida won that game in overtime. They scored late to tie it and win it in overtime just 2 minutes in. Off the skate of Marchand. Wallman. 6 minutes to go in the third period of game one of the Stanley Cup Final. Klingberg now will flip it up into the middle. Banked off the boards. Marchand couldn't get a stick on it. And Klingberg. Lusterinen now lost it. Kapanen. Shot back in. Bobrovsky has the puck behind the net. Almost gave it away to Kapanen. Klingberg now waiting. He shoots through traffic. He is stopped by Bobrovsky and it rolled to the side of the net. Shot again. Save made by Bobrovsky. It's loose and it's covered. With 5:36 to go and a little bit of pushing and shoving right after the whistle. And everyone gets together in front of Bobrovsky, who took a tumble after the whistle. 31-26 the shots favoring the Edmonton Oilers. A 3-3 tie. We'll be back. 5:36 remaining in the third. We welcome you back with 5:36 to go in the third period of play. The Oilers and the Panthers are even at 3 here. And we're back into the play again. Shot down and no icing. 5.5 to go in the third. That much time away from potential overtime. And icing on Edmonton with 5:23 to go. And we get a whistle. Sergei Bobrovsky tonight. 30 saves on 33 shots faced tonight. He has been spectacular. In that first period alone for the Oilers, that had a very good shot advantage of 16, I believe. They were putting everything towards Bobrovsky. He actually turned it over on the last play before we went to commercial. Shot by Ekblad was blocked loose in front of the net, and no one could control the puck in front. Verhaeghe lost it to Kapanen, who dumps it into the corner. Ekblad chips it. 17-8 the second period shot on goals. In this third period, 11 for the Oilers and 2 for the Panthers. Not much offense for the Panthers. Kapanen tried to center out the side of the net for Nugent Hopkins. Hit the outside of the cage. Less than 5 minutes to go in the third. Even at 3 here in game 1. Nurse has the puck. Looking to move it up. Into the middle. Shoots it back in. Deflected over the net. Not out of play, though, as it did not hit the netting. It's in the Florida zone where it's fought for along the boards. Barkov gets it free. Out of the reach of Reinhardt on the pass, but they cleared out of the zone. Bouchard. Turnover. Barkov looking. Try to center. It was blocked. Barkov tried to center it again. It's off the pad of Skinner, who makes a save. Jones and then Barkov had a golden opportunity to give the Panthers a lead late here in game 1. Bouchard shoots it back in. 4 minutes to go in the third period. Fought for along the boards. Brown up high again at the point. Wallman's shot rolled towards Bobrovsky and makes a save with 3:53 remaining in the third. Bouchard the turnover at the blue line, and Barkov had 2 opportunities to get a pass or a shot away. Both were denied. And this one was Kapanen's drop pass for Nugent Hopkins. at the side of the net, tried to bank it in off of Bobrovsky. It was blocked. Barkov this postseason, 6 goals in 17 games played. He's been a great factor, and he is their captain of this Florida squad. Led them last year to the Cup final. They're going to do the same to win again like they did last year. Luostarinen tried to clear it. He turned it over to Brown. Henrique trying to give it for Brown, and Schmid is pressured by Brown, who lost his stick in the process, looking to get a new twig off the bench. Marchand couldn't settle it down. He instead goes for a change, as the Oilers are going for a change as well, wholesale change. Klingberg passes it across for Wallman. Back for Klingberg again. Less than 3.5 to go. The top boys out there, Podkolzin. It looked like for a moment it was the top boys, but it was not. Marchand looking to move it in. Looked like they'll probably have McDavid out there in the last 2 minutes, potentially. Unless they want to play this to it goes to overtime. Forsling has the puck. Deflected off the stick of Boquist, who chips it back in. Almost a turnover by Skinner. Behind the net. Less than 3 minutes to go in the third. Ekblad has it. Off the boards. Boquist looking to get to the loose puck. Lost it. Deflected back into the zone. Here is Podkolzin to the front. Save. Rebound goes to the crease. Kulak will rim it all the way around. Kapanen. Forsling pressuring along the wall. 2.5 to go in the third. Flipped out of the zone. Will it be enough for an icing? No, it won't be. Less than 2.5 to go in the third. 3-3 tie here in Edmonton. 2 multi-goal comebacks, 1 shy of franchise record for single postseason for the Edmonton Oilers. They come back from a 3-1 deficit to tie this game at 3. Can they do it again? Held in by Nugent Hopkins. Sends it low into the corner. Kane couldn't get it. And Schmid deflected. Kachuk. Bennett flips it out to center ice. Less than 2 minutes to go in the third period. Perry. McDavid trying to get it. Mikkola and McDavid have been the matchups here. Here's Kachuk, who shoots it back in from center ice. Skinner out to play it. Rimmed it all the way around. Out to center ice. And shot back in. Off the boards awkwardly. Skinner did not know where it was. And a turnover here. Late. 90 seconds to go. Barkov couldn't get it in. Mikkola will shoot it all the way around. Shot. Blocked out in front. Rodriguez's chance. And flipped up the center ice. 80 seconds to go. McDavid trying to chip it in. Not far enough. As the Florida looked to counter. Reinhart has the puck in the final minutes of the third period. Klingberg has it now. He'll circle back and wait. A minute left to go in the third period of game 1. Even at 3. Rolls towards Bobrovsky. Plays it to Forsling. Out of his reach. And it's cleared down the length of the ice. And an icing late with 49.7 remaining. And the face-off is going to be in the Florida zone. A crucial face-off for the Panthers. Oh my. Game 2 will be on Friday. Crowd is on their feet here in Edmonton. With 49.7 left to go in regulation. 36-26, the shots favoring the Oilers. Face-off won by the Oilers. Bouchard looking. Broken stick on the ice is Marchand. Bouchard shot. Deflected wide of the net. Bobrovsky chipped it towards the boards. Brown with less than 40 to go. Goes low for McDavid. Banked off the boards for Draisaitl behind the net. Ekblad pressuring him from behind. Where's the puck? It's still loose behind the net. McDavid has it now with less than 25 to go. Bouchard shot. Missed the net wide. Marchand will get it and will chip it down the length of the ice once again. It's going to be another icing on the Panthers with 18.4 remaining in the third. Marchand arguing with the linesman as they thought that they might have hit the glass potentially. Or they thought that went out of play. Oh, it did go out of play. It did go out of play. It should not be an icing. Referees and linesmen conferencing here. Looked like that puck had went out of play before Marchand cleared it down the length of the ice. And Maurice is, wow. Florida trying to argue it because if that counts as icing, they cannot get their guys off the ice. 18.4 to go. They'll get changes, it looks like, as the referees and the linesmen figure that out. With 18.4 to go in the third, Florida needs to win this big faceoff. It's against Draisaitl for Barkov. McDavid and Draisaitl out there, the two top guns for the Oilers. Barkov, a lot of pressure in this faceoff. They're actually going to review if this went out of play. So, it delays a little bit here. They're looking at that puck had went out of play into the netting. And they will add seconds back to the clock. 25.3 remaining now. They added 7 seconds back to the clock. And this could be crucial for Edmonton if the Panthers were to lose this faceoff. 25.3 to go. 30 faceoffs won for the Florida Panthers, 22 by the Oilers. McDavid trying to win it. Barkov won it instead. Rodriguez will flip it down the length of the ice and out to center ice. Ekholm off the boards. Where's the puck? It went out of play with 14.5 to go in the third in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals, even at 3. Potentially going to overtime. 14.5 away from it. McDavid out there. Face off that outside the Florida blue line. And they add seconds back. 14.5, and then they put 15.3. And Jones lost it. Barkov, 8 seconds to go in the period. One last entry. Draisaitl got it poke checked away. Barkov tying it up along the boards. Another shot towards the net. Just went wide. We are going to overtime in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. For the first time since 2023, we are going to overtime. We'll be back with an intermission report. Overtime intermission coming up next. We welcome you to overtime in Edmonton. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Going to overtime. And this should be an interesting one. See if the Oilers win this one at home, or will the Panthers take one on the road and take the lead in the series lead in this best of 7. We will see. Overtime about to start here in Edmonton. And this is going to be a tight and grueling effort in overtime for both of these teams. 20 more minutes of a period. Next goal wins it. And the face-off won by Nugent Hopkins, and we're underway in overtime. Nurse passes it across. Off the boards, turned over here. Barkov is in, onside. Sasha Barkov's shot just missed the net. Held in by Jones. Turned over. Barkov back door. Oh, Reinhart can't chip it in, and no, it's stopped by Skinner. 19 seconds in. Reinhart with the chance down low could have ended it 19 seconds into overtime, but no. Great hand-eye coordination there by Sam Reinhart. 36-26, the shots favoring the Oilers. Face-off won by Draisaitl, and Bouchard flips it out to center ice. McDavid trying to get to the loose puck. All-time overtime records in the Stanley Cup Final. 1-1 are Florida. 3-0 is Edmonton. Luostarinen passes across. Onside shot. Save made. Rebound at the side of the net. Trying to chip it in. Was Lundell, and he couldn't put it in. Marchand shot. Through the crease. It was there. Lundell to the point. Shot by Jones. It was blocked out in front. Ekblad gets it now. Chip to the corner. Luostarinen back for Ekblad. Bouncing puck goes behind the net. Centering pass. Lundell couldn't go. It was blocked away by McDavid. Connor McDavid moves it in the other way. Draisaitl poke checked away. And comes into the middle. Brown will rim it all the way around. Draisaitl went down. Loose along the boards, and Ekblad will get it. More than a minute in to the first overtime in game 1. Ekblad off the boards, out to center ice. That's intercepted by Podkolzin. Regathered by Verhaeghe onside. So far, the Panthers have had the opportunities in overtime. Kachuk, now Verhaeghe behind the net, trying to get it. Turned over here on the forecheck. Bennett goes back to the point. Kulikov sent it across. A shot from distance was blocked. Loose puck in front, and Verhaeghe couldn't tap it in. Kulikov gets it again. Verhaeghe now along the boards. Shot towards the net, deflected. Denied. Klingberg picks it up and looks to clear it. He will. And Janmark couldn't get it. Knocked down. It is not onside. Arvidsson. And moved up here by Podkolzin. Podkolzin with Janmark. Podkolzin backhander missed the net wide. Trying to score the game winner. Boquist will chip it back in. To the corner. Kulak. And it is cleared out to center ice. Henrique. And it's Nosek who tries to clear it. He will. Boquist will send it back for Jones. Back for Boquist again. 36-31, the shots favoring the Oilers. Boquist shot, fanned on along the boards. Picked up there by Brown for a moment, and it's cleared out to center ice. Nosek lost it. Then Mikkola regathers it as the Oilers dumped it back in. Jones now with the puck. Looks to move it in. Shot wide of the net. Reinhart dropped it off. Shot deflected and out of play with 17:09 to go in overtime number 1. 2:51 in to the first overtime here in Edmonton. Verhaeghe with 5 postseason overtime goals. Corey Perry with 5. Patrick Kane with 5. He's not in this game. He's with the Red Wings. And Brad Marchand with 4. So 3 of the 4 on the top list have scored a lot of overtime goals. Shots are 5-0 right now in favor of the Panthers in this overtime to start. 3 minutes in. McDavid has the puck now. He'll look to move it in through center. Shot wide of the net. Draisaitl deflected. To the point, held in. Sent it low into the corner for McDavid. Pressured. McDavid trying to get through a check. McDavid at the side of the net. Wraparound attempt couldn't go. McDavid will go back to the point for Bouchard. Shot from distance. Missed the net wide. And Rodriguez will move it up the other way, looking to counter for the Panthers. He'll dump it back in. Rimmed around. Bouchard gets it. And passes it off the backboards to Ekholm. This top defensive pairing for the Oilers. Deflected back in. Jones will get it again. And he'll look to clear it out to the center. Kapanen will shoot it back in. Jones pressured by Kane. Lundell regathers. And he'll flip it out to center ice. Intercepted there by Klingberg. And Kapanen will shoot it back into the corner. Bobrovsky out to play it. Gave it away instead. Kane, a save. Rebound shot was blocked. Luostarinen blocked a shot from Wallman, who was looking to end it. Wow. What an opportunity there. 4:04 in. $15:56 to go in the first overtime. Kane, that centering pass, actually hit the stick of Bobrovsky, and then this shot was blocked off the knee of Luostarinen. Wallman for sure might have been scoring that one. Face-off won by the Panthers. That might be a game-winning save of the game. The MHS turning point, if you like to say. Wallman, and that one's turned over. At center ice, it's shot back in, and a huge hit at the blue line by, I believe, Wallman, or Arvidsson, pardon me. Kulikov has the puck. Deflected at center. Shot back into the corner. Klingberg, and there's a whistle with 15:29 to go, and a little bit of pushing and shoving right after the whistle. And this might be why we got the whistle. Podkolzin and Ekblad getting tangled up with each other. 38-31, the shots favoring the Oilers. 4.5 minutes into the first overtime here in Edmonton. Stanley Cup final action here. I'd like to thank you all for joining. Just joining us here in overtime. 38-30, the shots favoring Edmonton. The Oilers at home here. 68 combined shots in this game. 3-3 tie in overtime. 4:31 in. Face-off is at center ice. In the circle. $15:29 to go in this first overtime. McDavid and Barkov in the face-off dot. Draisaitl and Reinhart were moving, so that's why they didn't drop it. Won by Barkov off the face-off. Shot back in by Rodriguez. Along the boards, Ekholm. Reinhart putting the pressure on him. Bouchard has it now. Passes it for Perry. Clears it out of the zone out to center ice. Jones will regather. Will pass it across. One mistake might cost these teams in overtime here tonight. Reinhart. Into the middle. Rodriguez shot off the glove of Skinner. He made a huge save there. Evan Rodriguez was so close to the game winner for the Panthers. And icing here on Edmonton with 14:54 to go. 5:06 in to the first overtime. We welcome you in if you're just joining us right now. As a huge opportunity for Evan Rodriguez to end the game in overtime. Right off the glove of Stuart Skinner and denied. The tip of the glove of Skinner. And we continue on here in overtime. 4 overtime chances for the Panthers, none for the Oilers so far in the game, or in the overtime, pardon me. Oilers with a goal to tie it up. Ekholm in the third, that was the only goal. That was 6.5 minutes in. Face-off won by the Panthers. Ekblad sent it across. Forsling faked the shot and he'll rim it all the way around. Marchand will get it along the wall, near the circle. Pressured along the wall by Bouchard. Still fought for in the corner. Marchand looking to get it, and it's held in for a moment, and Bouchard backhands it out to center ice. Kane, or Perry, pardon me. Hand pass with 14:33 remaining. And a little bit of arguing there by Corey Perry, by one of the linesmen. 14:33 to go in the first overtime. Corey Perry playing in his 6th Stanley Cup final, 5th in the last 6 years. Henrique and Boquist off the faceoff, one here. 5.5 minutes into the overtime. It's Kulak now with the puck. He'll drop it off for Nurse. Deflected back in. Bobrovsky almost gave it away to Brown. And Nosek will move it up. Deflected at center ice and knocked down by Kulak, who almost lost the handle. Boquist on the forecheck. Ekblad now. Pardon me, Kulikov. Here come the Panthers, shooting it back in. Boquist. Kulak pressuring him. Nurse. And now he passes it for Frederick along the boards. Behind Stuart Skinner is Frederick with the puck. He'll drop it off for Nurse. And Kulak will dump it back in from center ice. Bobrovsky has the puck behind the net, and Jones plays it off the boards for Bennett. Looking to shoot it back in, he will. Collision there at center. And Skinner clears it out to center ice. No icing here. This is back in the Panthers zone. Mikkola pressured by Kane. And Jones will clear it up for Tkachuk. Looks to stretch it up. No one knew where that puck was. Verhaeghe. And Bennett almost intercepted that one. Wallman shot back in by Kane. Bobrovsky rimmed it all the way around. Verhaeghe. Now Tkachuk trying to clear. He moves it up for Bennett. Gets through a man. And he'll circle back and try to pass it for Tkachuk. It rolled off his stick, and he'll go for a line change. Other way come the Oilers. Kapanen trying to get some room. Kasperi Kapanen's in. He hit the post. He made a move and had Bobrovsky down and shot it wide potentially. 12:51 to go. Oh my, Kasperi Kapanen so close to ending it in overtime. So close. Oh, jeez. That wasn't meant to happen. They were this close to scoring that goal. And Kapanen says a word we can't say on here. Fudge, I guess. This close to ending it for Kasperi Kapanen for the Oilers to try to take a 1-0 series lead, and he just shot it wide of the net. Shot back in by Ekholm off the linesman. A lucky bounce shot by Ekholm was blocked. It slowed down Perry. Draisaitl now rimmed around. Held in by Bouchard. Now to Ekholm. He looks to shoot it. Stopped. Rebounded in front. It's cleared down the length of the ice for an icing on the Panthers. Once again with 12:14 to go in overtime. Almost at 40 shots for the Oilers here in the game overall. The chance here by Ekholm through traffic right off the blocker of Bobrovsky. Was able to see it all the way through. We're almost 8 minutes into overtime, number one. Crowd is rallying here as it's very loud here in Rogers Place. Off the face-off one here by the Panthers. They look to clear that it's held in by Bouchard. And Jones will clear it out to center ice. Regathered Ekholm. Shot back in. McDavid on pursuit. Ekblad pressured by McDavid in the corner. Loose along the wall. Jones. Some tired skaters for the Panthers. Jones has been out there for more than 2 minutes. He'll go for a line change as it's sent down the length of the ice by the Oilers' fault. And Nurse will have the puck behind the net. So a full sail change for Florida. A turnover here, and Janmark picks it up. Matthias Janmark into the slot. Pressured by Luostarinen, and he steals it away. Matthias Janmark got it back, though. Then lost it to Mikkola, who shoots it back in. Skinner out to play it. Rimmed it all the way around. Arvidsson. Lundell trying to hold it in. Puck battle near the boards, and it's fished free there, and Kulak clears it down the length of the ice. Janmark gets to the loose puck first in the Florida corner. Forsling comes free, and not cleared out yet by the Panthers. Wallman shoots. It was blocked out in front of the net. Wallman picks it up again. Stumbles. Passes it across for Henrique. Trying to center it. Oh, and Frederick denied. Can't clear it out just yet. Oh, my goodness. What an opportunistic chance there. And icing again on the Panthers. The Oilers have taken control of this overtime. Frederick somehow couldn't bury it to end it. Crowd rallying here at Rogers Place. Kulikov had made the turnover. Someone lost their stick. Forsling. And Frederick somehow couldn't bury that one. What a save by Bobrovsky. Oh, wow. He got over just in time. Frederick kind of shot it back towards his pad and didn't get a real clean shot off of it. And somehow Bobrovsky makes a save. 37 saves in the night. To the point. Wallman faked the blast. Sends it across. Back for Wallman again. Panthers tired once again. Shot by Nugent Hopkins was blocked out in front. Nugent Hopkins trying to get to the loose puck again. Lundell's pressuring him from behind. Nugent Hopkins pressured. Kulikov trying to get it. Marchand sends it across. No one was there. Lusterinen pressures Klingberg outside of the Edmonton bench. And Nugent Hopkins will send it back into his own zone. Wallman sends it across. Nugent Hopkins gets it again. Deflected off the stick, and here's Kane. Kane. And now it's Kapanen. Rim it all the way around. Kulikov chipped it. Halfway through overtime. Shot. Wide of the net. Ekholm on the rebound. Rimmed it all the way around. Verhaeghe will pick it up. Looks to clear it. Turned over again. Perry. Now Ekholm looking, waiting, shooting. And a save made by Bobrovsky off the tip of the pad. Here's McDavid on the ice. Connor McDavid looking to end it. Dropped it out for Draisaitl along the boards. Sends it across. Matthias Ekholm's shot was stopped by Bobrovsky. And we get a whistle with 9:37 to go in the first overtime. And they'll clean up the ice here as the Oilers find the momentum so far. Cleaning the ice here at Edmonton. Are the Ice Girls. Crowd outside Edmonton at the wash party outside of Rogers Place, the plaza. 9:37 remaining in the Ice District. .9:37 to go. Shots are 42-29 in favor of Edmonton. And we'll see what can happen here after the ice is just cleaned up here. There's no commercials in overtime, so we have to wait here and see what happens. Delighted you are all tuning in with us here tonight. Thank you so much. We're going to be streaming the entire Stanley Cup Final here on the NHL and MHS. Tune in for Game 2 on Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. We'll give you coverage of that on Friday night. Draisaitl now, Barkov in the face-off dot. Face-off is not won just yet, as it's a false start on the face-off dot. Perry's out there with McDavid and Draisaitl. Bouchard's shot! Wide of the net. Goes into the corner. Barkov pressured by McDavid. And let's see if that little timeout of time settles it down for the Panthers and regather their breath. They're getting hemmed in their own zone for a couple of times in that overtime so far. Jones has the puck with 9:15 to go in overtime number 1. Shot back in. Skinner plays it behind the net. Ekholm has it now. Behind his own net. And Draisaitl was looking to fake it, and Ekholm will stretch it up. Instead, it almost looked like it was going to be an icing for a moment. It was not, held in by the Oilers for a moment, and Rodriguez will pick it up now for Florida. looked to move it in, and instead, my stream decided to glitch. Oh, great. This cannot be happening. Hold on, everybody. I will pull up Stream East. No, it doesn't. $8:32 to go. Pardon me on that. My streaming service would ever cut off the stream, so we're gonna have to watch it from here. Game 2 will be on Friday. 8:32 in overtime. Off the face-off one here. From the blue line. Shot through traffic wide of the net. Loose as it goes back to the blue line. Again, shot wide of the net for the Oilers. Luostarinen pressured along the boards. Kane was trying to get it. Forsling now. Pressured still. Along the boards still. It's chipped into the corner. Ekblad. Luostarinen, 8:10 left to go in the overtime. Held in at the blue line by Kulak's shot. Was stopped by Bobrovsky through traffic with 8:07 to go. And a little bit of a scuffle right afterwards. As everyone was getting together there. Everyone was getting together right there in front of Bobrovsky. And so play halted. 8:07 to go in the first overtime here in Edmonton. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Welcome you in, everybody. Sam Bennett. Couldn't win the faceoff there. Wallman waiting. He shoots through traffic. He missed the net wide. Verhaeghe tried to clear it. He will. Out to center ice. Tkachuk will shoot it back in. Less than 8 to go. Rimmed all the way around. Went back to the blue line. Held in by Florida. It chipped out of play with 7:50 to go in overtime number 1. We welcome you in, everybody, if you're just joining us. 7:50 to go in overtime number 1. 40 saves for Bobrovsky tonight. 43 shots he's faced. Skinner, on the other hand, has made 26 saves on 29 shots. The Panthers getting outshot a lot here in this overtime. In that third period as well. Desperation for the Oilers for sure. Face-off one here. Tkachuk gets the puck. He'll pass it back. Tkachuk let it go. Behind the net now. Verhaeghe pressured, and then he lost the puck to Draisaitl. And he'll clear it out to center ice, and that's going to be racing for the puck for potential icing. No, it's not. Rimmed all the way around. Kulikov. And now Jones will move it up for the Panthers with some speed. Seth Jones is in. Waiting on the backhand. Missed the net wide. And out of play it goes. It was Bennett, actually, with the opportunity. Sam Bennett with the opportunity there. Not Jones. Yeah, it's tough to see on this little phone. As Bennett's backhander just chipped wide of the net. Sam Bennett, 11 road goals this postseason. Ties Mark Scheifele for most single postseason. And we'll see what's going to happen off this faceoff. It is won here by a scramble. Florida has possession for a moment. Gadjevich lost it to Ekholm. 7-10 to go in the overtime. First overtime here. Onside, Gadjevich lost it. Bounces. Onside, Nosek on the backhand save made by Stuart Skinner. Huge save there on the other side of things. 7:01 to go in the first overtime. And the Panthers looking to win it. And the Oilers looking to do the same as well. And we'll see if any of those teams come victorious tonight. One of them has to. Kulak will flip it out to center ice. And one of the stumble there. And Rodriguez try to shoot it back in. Knocked down. Barkov gets it. Less than 7 to go in the overtime. Fought for along the boards. Comes free for Edmonton. Looking to clear it. They will. Out to center. Knocked down, and Ekblad will flip it in. Wide of Skinner. And Nurse got taken down behind the net now. Pressured. Rodriguez has the puck. Goes back to the blue line. Ekblad. He shoots wide of the net. And gloved by Skinner off the backboards. 6:20 to go in overtime. Aaron Ekblad's been out there for the most time for the Panthers. 30 minutes and 49 seconds of ice time here tonight. 6:21 left to go in the first overtime here tonight. See if we go to double overtime here in Edmonton. 29 minutes and 39 seconds for Evan Bouchard on the other hand for Edmonton. Then McDavid with 28 minutes and 58 seconds. Leon Draisaitl with 26 minutes and 11 seconds. 6:20 to go in overtime. Face-off is won by Edmonton. Lundell, and it's chipped out to center ice. Deflected at center. Knocked down, and Wallman has the puck. Jake Wallman with the puck between the circles. Passes it across. Back for Wallman again. Intercepted there at center ice by Jones. It's shot back in. Stuart Skinner out to play it. Rimmed it all the way around. Back. It's going to be an icing on Edmonton with 5:48 to go in the first overtime. So Edmonton taking the couple of icings here. Got to be careful for sure. A broken stick and a glove carried by one of the linesmen. Scott Cherry or Trent Knorr. 5:48 to go in the first overtime. Off the face-off. One here by Bennett for a moment. And then it's backhanded out of the zone. There's going to be another icing on the Oilers with 5:41 to go. And Wallman just looks down. It's like, you got to be kidding me. They are some tired skaters on the ice for the Edmonton Oilers out there. 5:41 to go. Bennett's out there with 2 goals, trying to win the face-off. He will. Tkachuk's shot was blocked out in front. Kapanen has the puck, pressured along the boards. Still fought for. Verhaeghe couldn't get it free, and it comes back out to center ice. Ekblad, pass across. Here is Bennett. Moving it in. Sam Bennett shot wide of the net. Bennett gets it in the corner with the puck still. Rimmed it all the way around for Tkachuk behind the net. Matthew Tkachuk looking. Will go for Verhaeghe. Tkachuk let it go to Ekblad along the boards. Pressure here by Florida. Verhaeghe. Now behind the net is Tkachuk. Verhaeghe. Pressured by one of the Oilers. Podkolzin, who steals it away from him. And it is not cleared out yet. Matthew Tkachuk held it in. Sent it low into the corner, but couldn't be settled down there. And it's held in by Reinhart for a moment. And it's cleared out of the zone by Kapanen. Less than 5 minutes to go in overtime. Kulikov with the puck now. We'll send it across. Onside is Schmid. Onside. No, he's not onside. It is whistled offside with 4:34 left in the first overtime. We welcome you in if you're just joining. 4:34 to go in the overtime. 3-3 tie in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. The Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. This could potentially go into a second overtime here tonight. We have not had a double overtime game in a Stanley Cup final since, I don't even know. Off the face-off, since Game 5, since 2020, I believe. The Dallas Stars and the Tampa Bay Lightning, where Corey Perry scored the game-winning goal. Reinhart has it in the corner. Kulak and Henrique loose along the boards. It's fought for. And it's picked up here by Kulak, and he'll try to clear it out of the zone. He will at the center ice. Barkov will shoot it back in. Or tried to, was blocked, and it's shot back in by Edmonton. No, it was blocked again. Fought for in front of the Edmonton bench. And it comes free for Florida. Schmid has the puck with less than 4 minutes to go in overtime, number 1. Deflected into the middle. Shot back into the corner. Florida going for a change. So is Edmonton. Stretch pass broken up at center. It's shot back in on Skinner, and he makes a save with 3:40 to go. Kulak, he let it play too, Skinner. And Kulak has it behind the net with 3.5 minutes to go in overtime, number 1. Potentially could be going to a second overtime here in Edmonton, Alberta, at Rogers Place. Turned over here. At center ice, here's Marchand moving it in. Shot, save made by Skinner. Marchand trying to get to his own rebound. Angled off, and Draisaitl will clear it off the boards. Luostarinen passes it back for Jones in his own zone. Deflected. At center, McDavid has the puck. He'll pass it for Perry. Corey Perry will backhand it around. Draisaitl trying to get it for their first. It's cleared down the length of the ice. It will be another icing. Florida this time, with 2:56 to go in overtime, number 1. And a face-off in the Florida zone. This could be dangerous if the Panthers cannot win this face-off. As we'll see. Can the Panthers win this face-off and prevent a potential scoring chance here for the Edmonton Oilers? Off the face-off, won by Edmonton. And for a moment, it looked like it was clean. Won too cleanly, though. 2:56 to go. 3-3 tie. 43-32, the shots favoring the Oilers. Here in Game 1. Stanley Cup Final. In overtime. First overtime. Less than 3 to go. Bouchard sent it across. Shot. Ekholm shot wide of the net. And Jones looking to clear it. Moved up. Luostarinen. Race for the puck here. Comes free for Marchand's shot that deflected off the stick of Skinner. Nugent Hopkins now. Try to stretch it up instead. It's going to be an icing here on Edmonton. With 2:34 to go. And now a face-off in the Edmonton zone for the Panthers. Trying to take advantage of that and potentially score the game winner. Game 2 on Friday. Game 3 on Monday. Game 4 on Thursday. And Game 5, if necessary in this series, will be on Saturday night. All start at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Game 6 and 7s will also start at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Boy, that's too far ahead in this series already. Off the face-off, won by Bennett. Florida looking to win it here. Bouchard couldn't get it. Held in. Ekblad rimmed it around Bennett. Ekholm pressured by Tkachuk. Rimmed all the way around with 2:20 to go. Ekblad held it in. Up in the air, it's still loose. Verhaeghe. Ekblad held it in for a moment. Nugent Hopkins picked up the puck, and now the Oilers look to counter the other way. Breakaway here. A chance here for Bouchard, denied. Bobrovsky with a huge save there. Shot back in by Tkachuk. Oilers almost this close to winning in overtime again. Podkolzin sends it across, wide open. Here's Arvidsson's shot, and a save made by Bobrovsky. Nosek with the puck now. 1:45 to go in overtime. That's a delay of game. That's a delay of game penalty. The Florida Panthers take a delay of game penalty and could be costly here. Oilers with a power play late in overtime. Oh boy. Nosek takes a delay of game penalty. And in overtime, a terrible, terrible play there for Nosek, and could potentially cost his team here tonight, here in overtime. We will see. Nosic's in the box. 1:43 left to go here in overtime. And the Oilers going to the power play, looking to end it. McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, Perry, and Bouchard in the face-off dot. Draisaitl gets kicked out, and McDavid instead will take the face-off instead. Off the face-off, won by McDavid. And it comes free for Nugent Hopkins. Looking, passes it across for Bouchard. Evan Bouchard sends it across for Draisaitl. Back for Bouchard again. 90 seconds to go in overtime. McDavid sends it low for Nugent Hopkins. Back for McDavid again. McDavid. Now Bouchard at the blue line. Back for McDavid again. Shot. Save. Where's the puck? It's up in the air. 1:20 to go in the first overtime. And this close for Edmonton. The scoring there. McDavid had an opportunity. It popped up in the air behind the net, I think. It might have been blocked and it went into the netting. And that's why we got the whistle. Yes, it did. That's why. 1:20 to go in overtime. 1:37 to go on the power play. If the Oilers do not score in this next 1:20, they'll have 17 seconds of power play time going into the second overtime. Oilers fans standing here in anxiousness, trying to see a game winner and take a 1-0 series lead in the Stanley Cup final. They did not see it last year. They want to see it this year. And the faceoff's on the false start there with 1:20 to go still. Still a power play for Edmonton. Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, Perry, and Bouchard still out there for the Oilers. McDavid trying to win the faceoff. It is a false start once again. The referees do not want to drop the puck at all. 1:20 to go in overtime. Off the faceoff one here. McDavid fell down on the faceoff dot, loose in front. And Ekblad off the glass will clear it out to center ice. Bouchard will get it now with 1:10 left to go in overtime. Has the puck still. Bouchard. He'll drop it off for McDavid with some speed. 1 minute left to go here in overtime. Nugent Hopkins fell down. And the other way come the Panthers. Loose arena and trying to go shorthanded 3-on-3. Instead, they'll dump it back in. Trying to kill out the remaining time here in the first overtime. The Panthers with 50 seconds to go in overtime here. Bouchard will drop it off for McDavid with some speed. 40 seconds to go. McDavid. Pass for Nugent Hopkins on the far side. Goes back to the point. Bouchard, Nugent Hopkins again along the boards. 35 seconds to go. Sent it deep into the corner. Here's McDavid. Centering pass. Shot. Scores! Draisaitl wins it in overtime for Edmonton. And they take a 1-0 series lead. Edmonton wins it on the power play with 31 seconds to go in the first overtime. They win it. Leon Draisaitl, who scored the first goal, ends it for the Oilers. And they take a 1-0 series lead in the best-of-7 Stanley Cup final. A huge overtime win, a costly penalty by Nosek, and the Oilers have won it in overtime. 1-0. They lead the series. As McDavid passed it for Draisaitl, and the game winner in overtime in game 1 of the Stanley Cup final, a great saucer pass from McDavid. McDavid and Draisaitl, that combination duo, does it again in another overtime goal. The first one was against Vegas, and then this one against the Panthers. Draisaitl wins it in overtime for Edmonton and takes a 1-0 series lead for the Edmonton Oilers. They get a huge overtime win. Nosek coming out of the box, knowing he costed the game for the Panthers. So, Edmonton wins it in overtime on the power play. 4-3, your final score here tonight. Panthers blowing a 3-1 series lead, or 3-1 lead in the game. And the Oilers coming back. Their third multi-goal comeback of this playoff year. 4-3, Edmonton wins it. For Max, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time here in the Stanley Cup final. We'll be seeing you soon.